Welcome to another edition of Mass Mats and Mayhem. I'm your host, the Outlaw LA Red. You can find me on Twitter at JustinHarvey75. You can find the entire show across all social media at MMMshow75. And we're finally here. We're finally going to discuss the end of Lucha Underground? Question mark?
Mysteries afoot.
The mystery? I don't think it's a mystery. You guys want to start right there?
Hey, well,
you want me to come in that hot? Introduce yourself first.
Okay, this is Casey at Lucha Gringo. Rest in peace, Hombre Bala. Didn't see you much as Hombre Bala, but I loved you as Monster in AAA. So rest in peace, buddy. There you go.
Byron, you're gonna say something? Does your setup even work? Byron shit doesn't even work, does it? Yes!
I see his mouth moving, but I don't hear any
This is
voice.
the best. I love it when Byron comes on and he doesn't work, and he's going to have to reset for like the next 20, 30 minutes.
Oh my God. Can you show Byron's picture while I talk and I'll just dub his voice in?
This is the best. Go for it.
Right now he's saying penis is delicious.
Anyway, so I fixed it.
Oh, shit. Boo.
Who earns?
Who earns? Help everyone out right there. At Byron Fever, I'm sitting in a reclining chair.
I think our chat's a little concerned right now. Yeah.
Why would they be concerned?
They think there's a spooky ghost among us.
Do we need to address?
Oh, we'll get to that.
I'm applying for a job.
So, anyway, I really wanted to watch the Rey Phoenix match, the King Phoenix match with the Caveman last night or the night before. That would have been cool.
And then the one where Phoenix injured his groin and he's out for the rest of the year?
Yeah, they kept trading, like doing splashes to the fucking concrete outside. Why?
Oh, hey, we should introduce our other colleague here, Jimmy V. Who's going to be starting another segment later tonight, a brand new segment here in the MMM show called I Wish I Was Jimmy V / I Wish I Was Jimmy V's Penis.
No, we do that segment every week.
We have been doing that show every week, but this week Jim gets to do it himself.
Wait, how can he wish he's his own penis?
Yeah, that's a good point. How do I do that?
Man, you haven't seen the kind of trouble his penis gets into. Even Jim wishes he was his own penis. It's that good.
Good point.
No, what's up? Introduce yourself. Tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the Jimmy V. No Venmo availability as of yet.
We'll work on that.
But yeah, go ahead and add me because a lot of people have been doing that this past week.
Yeah, they have, I believe, and you have a good reason for that. We're going to talk about that very, very soon. Are you going to be around for a while, Jim? What's your timeline like?
Give me like an hour and a half or so.
All right. So I will definitely let you get to your
get your
shit in.
About a third of the way through the show.
All right. Perfect. Yeah. Maybe a tenth of the way into the show. And the island of Dr. Meef. What is going on over there, Dr. Moreau?
Well, I'm just making sure my audition tapes in for LU season 5.
I hope you have. Yeah. Oh, you're gonna be one of the guys. You're gonna be the limo guy number 5, and it's gonna be amazing, Meef. Oh, I love it.
They're gonna come up with whatever's more powerful than a god, and then Meef will be that.
Yeah, they'll be like he's so white that he gets to be like the god of gods. Apparently, this is. That you could be like Triple H, the King of Kings. You can be the God of Gods. And yeah, let's do it. But the problem is Meef has to do every podcast in this gimmick now until they announce season 5. So good luck with that shit, bro. Hope he's stocked up on the white paint.
Meef's medallion on the Gift of the Gods belt is just going to be the entire belt.
Right. So...
How do we know this isn't Meef's natural state? He just didn't put makeup on.
Kind of like how in '89 Batman, like people thought Joker was taking his makeup off when he was really putting more skin tone makeup over his face.
Exactly, and like that one time where he did the makeup over the makeup to trick people.
Yeah. And then they did the
Just
color
like
changing. They did the fucking color changing Joker toy, and they made the skin tone face the regular face. So you had to put cold water on him to give him the Joker makeup. That was fucking bullshit. Do it the other way around. What the fuck?
Do you remember that one? Do you remember that one part in the beginning? They're in that factory and it's blown up, and the henchmen are running around. This guy's running down like a hallway thing, and Batman just raises his fist like this and backhands the dude in the face. That was awesome.
Dude, my favorite part is how the crooked cop that's in that scene is Porkins from fucking Star Wars.
I know.
The guy that's like, "You're full of shit, Knox," and you can quote me on that.
It's
I
funny.
got that guy.
The opposite was true.
Dude, it's gonna be so great when we like make this an '89 Batman podcast because Lucha Underground's dead.
Ooh.
I wish I had my notes. I didn't have enough in my luggage room to bring them all for '89 Batman podcast.
Oh, dude, they're all in my head. I practically have that movie memorized. I had to do a scene-by-scene breakdown in grad school, and I know that movie like the back of my fucking hands. Batman uses guns and blows up a factory full of people. That's not Batman. I'm sorry. I love you, Michael Keaton. Don't be sad.
Hey, do you remember the Batmobile?
Yeah, dude, it was dope. I love it. I would still probably rather have the 60s Batmobile, like if I had to own a Batmobile. But,
welcome to our TED Talk. It's about DC.
Sorry, I wanted to see how long we could go.
You guys are really going to piss the Marvel guy off here. I just want you to know. Hulk is going to smash here in a second.
Hey, Jim, how come everyone's adding you on Twitter?
All right, we're just going to let Jim start. Go ahead, Jim. Go ahead and start, and then I'll talk about the demise of Lucha Underground.
Yeah, it's the Jim Velasco sex raffle. If you follow him on Twitter, he might have sex with you.
This is the segment I like to call "I'd rather be Jim Velasco's penis."
He's gonna run
I don't know where the penis comes in on this, but anyway,
it doesn't really come in on this one, but in general speaking,
I mean,
it was a lot of things.
It was still with you, Jim.
It was with you.
Yeah, it's not like it's attachable.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be sexual. It was with you. It was there.
I mean,
are we gonna sell "May the Penis Be With You" shirts? Is the next MMMshow shirt? Is that what's gonna happen?
No, that was already the Jim. First of all, that was a Jim Skate shirt. Second of all, let him tell the story.
Okay, tell the story, Jim.
All right, as Beef adjusts his wardrobe. All right, no, Beef, before we go, Beef, you need to get that point off the top of your head right now.
Or you're really going to get a job on Lucha Underground. Jesus. Oh.
Thank you. Anyway. That looks like Princess Leia.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Anyway, all right, so a few months back, as
sexier version.
As some people may have noticed, if you're an NXT fan, Johnny Gargano, since TakeOver New Orleans, has been basically sporting Marvel gear for his entrance gear almost every TakeOver now. Since then,
copyright infringement, baby.
Technically, it falls under parody because he's not actually saying it's that character. It's just in the style of that character.
Well, WWE made Rey Mysterio's
done it.
Stuff.
Yep. So basically, I just randomly hit him up on Twitter, like, "Hey man, I love how you're wearing Marvel gear. If you're ever in the LA area and want to take a tour of the studio, let me know." And he hit me up right away. Surprisingly, you know.
Wait, whoa! First of all, I'm in the LA area. I'd love to take a tour. Never mind. Go ahead.
You never really get to go out that much, though.
That's true.
And you're never really in the LA area.
Yeah,
that's also very, very true. I am today, but
yeah,
one day only.
I recognize the curtain, Justin. I recognize the curtain.
That
could have been packed in his luggage. You never know.
Oh, that's true. Just brings the curtain. Oh, wow.
This leftover stuffing, by the way, is phenomenal.
Oh,
so good.
So basically, I gave him, the offer to come to the studio, and turns out that the next time that they were going to be in town was for NXT TakeOver Los Angeles, War Games specifically. So he and Candace were able to make travel arrangements to stop by the studio after TakeOver.
Wait, you didn't even just get the homie from Cleveland. You got his girl too?
Riverside's own Candice LeRae. I mean, I didn't speak to her. Johnny was doing a lot of the talking
to and for her.
Yeah. But basically, you know, I offered him, you know, a tour of the studio, and not only that, through work, I actually managed to get a tour of Walt Disney's original office, which is not normally even accessible, but through specific work channels and through pure luck.
Wait, have you even seen that before?
I have.
Oh, okay.
So under normal circumstances, if you're an employee, you have to fill out a lottery entry to be able to get a chance to go to his office, and
probably like a lot of forms and a background check, so you're not like jerking off in there or something, right? Like
you never know.
So do you go through the underground tunnel, past the cryo freeze chamber, and then up into the office? Is that how it works?
You kid, but there is an underground tunnel between two of the buildings on the Disney lot.
See? Illuminati shit. Illuminati.
Where's Kross when we need him?
So basically,
why
do you think I asked? Kross is the one who told me that, dude.
So basically, instead of a chance of just getting myself in, I was able to get me plus 3 other people. So that just lucked out. And when I told Johnny that, he told me Candice was ridiculously excited because, for those of you who don't know, Candice LeRae is a huge Disney fan, so much so that she bills herself from Anaheim, California. The name of her finishing move previously was Miss LeRae's Wild Ride. So huge Disney fan. And yeah, because of that, Johnny was so graciously kind enough to offer us, my friends and I, backstage at TakeOver War Games. So it was a really cool experience. A friend of the show, Mr. Adam Davis, and his wife Minerva.
Good dude.
Yeah, and yeah, so we were, after the show ended, which was a phenomenal show, we got to go backstage at TakeOver, and it was probably one of the most ridiculously awesome things I've ever done in my life, simply because you watch WWE 24 and all these other documentaries on DVDs and whatnot, and you have an idea of what backstage is like, but then you get there and you're just like, holy shit, everyone's just around, and it looks like everything is just run so efficiently. Within the first second of walking through the curtain, and we didn't go through Gorilla, by the way. We were led to the side of the entranceway, kind of like where all the production people go through. Within the first second of walking through the curtain, Shawn Michaels just walks by us and like gives a little nod, and I look at Adam and I just like give him the wide eyes, like, holy shit, that was just Shawn Michaels. And
that's why we included your penis in this, because at this point you're full mast. Come on, just Shawn Michaels, dude. Oh, so awesome.
I know, and it's funny because as we continue, we're being led by a production assistant, and as we're walking through, it's like the main faces of the main event at War Games are just walking by us. It's like, I guess they just finished up in Gorilla after the main event ended and the show ended, and they're just walking back to the locker room with their gear. So we passed by like Pete Dunne, he's carrying the UK Championship. We passed by War Raiders, and we happened to walk by right where Gorilla lets out backstage. And as we do, all 4 members of the Undisputed Era were filming a segment for what looks like it's going to be for like a WWE.com exclusive or something, or they're basically like limping and carrying themselves and talking about like they're going to get those guys back, and they're all being filmed, and it's all happening so quickly that we see them and then we see the camera and we know to walk around the back of the camera so we're not like in between the footage.
Oh man, so what you're saying is that sellout Prince Puma dodged you backstage.
I mean, it's a possibility. He could have went through before us, but
it's not like Jim was wearing his Lucha Underground gear backstage.
That is true.
Though I'm sure Jim was very memorable to Ricochet from all those times that he dove over the top rope and almost landed in Jim's lap during season 2.
Yeah. I mean, I was right in the front row, so I did ask for it.
Yeah.
And as we were back there, we get led to the back, and Candice is there with her family because, you know, they're all local pretty much. And then Johnny comes up from the trainer's room and just like, you know, we're chatting, and he's like, yeah, I'm just going to grab whoever's walking by. And like everyone, pretty much the majority of the NXT locker room walked by us at some point or another. So
And what was he saying? Was he like, "This is my boy, Big Dick Jim from Marvel"?
No, he just basically said, "Oh, these are my buddies from Marvel," and he would especially, and I thought this was really cool of him. He really pointed out to the majority of them, since the majority of that NXT locker room now is basically PWG alumni. He would be like, "Oh yeah, this is Jim. He still goes to PWG," because I was there for a lot of the shows that those guys wrestled at. So I got to talk. Probably out of more than anyone, I got to talk extensively with Chris Hero, aka Cassius Ohno. Talked to him about his match with Liger, and we were talking about the one Battle of Los Angeles, and it was they always do that crazy 10-man tag match on night 3s, and we were talking about, I'm like, yeah, that same weekend you fought Liger, and then all of a sudden there's a chain of guys with thumbs up their asses being led by Liger. Which is a match you can find on YouTube still, that segment. Just Google Liger, PWG, funny, and it's the first thing that comes up. But he was telling me, he's like, yeah, when you look back at that match, almost all of those guys now are in NXT. You have guys like Pete Dunne, Matt Riddle, him, obviously. And there are other guys who back then they weren't as big as they were big for us, but now they're even bigger, like guys like a Jeff Cobb, and well, obviously now Cassius is back in NXT, so it was just and Ciampa. So it's just weird to see how many of those guys that we used to see at PWG all the time. I was talking to them backstage. I like not only Chris Hero, but Ciampa himself. I hate to break kayfabe, but super nice guy, along with Aleister Black. He talked pretty extensively, and just to see how those guys, Johnny and Aleister especially, interacting after the great match that they had was pretty cool. And at one point, basically everyone just walked by. So I respect everyone, so I don't speak unless spoken to, kind of thing. So guys like Keith Lee and Nikki Cross and the Mighty. They all walked by us, and it was super cool. But then at one point, we just hear someone yelling, hey, Boss Man's coming. Apparently, everyone was about to gather for a post-show meeting. And as we're there talking to Johnny, all of a sudden, surrounded by a bunch of other suits, is Triple H.
Oh, see, you let me down. I thought it was going to be the zombie of Ray Traylor, since Boss Man was coming.
I mean, that's true. So as he's walking by, Adam gives him a nod, and he gives him a nod back. And as he's walking by us, he just pats Johnny on the chest, basically like, good show, man. And yeah, it was pretty surreal just to be back there for all of it. We didn't even really move around a lot. We were like in the same general area. We were basically standing where, like off to the side of where they shoot the backstage interviews. And
sounds like all the action came to you. Why move? Shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You got a good spot. Post up.
And it's just funny. You see everyone just, you normally see everyone in their gear, or when you go to like other indie shows, they're really dressed down. But with this being WWE, you see, like, for example, a Nikki Cross who has like stringy hair and she's got this crazy vest and pants to fit her character. But then you see her backstage, she's got the makeup on, she's got a skirt on. And then you see, Keith Lee with his ginormous shoulders, wearing this huge suit, but then he's still got like a Porg hat on. Yeah, so he still represents fully geek mode. So, but yeah, it was just really cool. And then when everything was done and over with, like they had to go to their meeting. So we actually left the same time around with Candace's family. And as we were getting led to the elevators to bring us back up to the main levels, X-Pac just walks by us with his dog. And
that hideous dog. Oh.
Did you give him X-Pac heat?
Nah, I couldn't. Yeah, I have no heat with X-Pac. So.
X-Pac heat wasn't ever really a real thing. He always still got real pops. I don't even know where the term X-Pac heat came from.
I think it was more of a backstage thing than up front with the fans things. But all the smarks just decided to use it.
He's always been one of my favorites, man. 1-2-3 Kid was the shit, and Lightning Kid was one of the only reasons to watch the Global Wrestling Federation.
Yeah, and actually, I was at PWG once, and I saw him like peeking through the curtain during intermission. So I'm like, hey, Pac, can I just grab a picture? He's like, yeah, man. So like, I got a selfie with X-Pac.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
you
he's
didn't have to pay $10 for it?
Nope.
Oh, that's really cool.
I mean, that was a PWG, so I think
for anybody.
I think he also just wanted to be incognito, so he's kind of like still kind of behind the curtain, but still like getting in the camera shot. But yeah, it was super cool, and you know, thanks to Johnny and Candace. I don't know if they'll ever watch this, but thank you guys again for that. That was Saturday, and then Tuesday is when they came to the lot. And so the first thing we did is I brought them to Walt's office. And so Johnny told me when we were backstage at TakeOver that he's like, yeah, Candace said she's probably going to cry. And when she went to Walt's office, so Candace shows up with, if you look at the pictures on my Twitter and Instagram, she's wearing a Walt Disney shirt, not a Walt Disney Studios or a company. It's a face of Walt Disney on her shirt.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Johnny's like, yeah, she's probably going to cry, but he's saying it half jokingly. But when we got up there and like we're in the office, she actually legit started crying, which to me was awesome because that means she really loved it. And I loved the fact that I was able to do that for them. And our tour guide was asking all these questions like about trivia about Walt and everything. For example, Walt has pianos in his office, and the Sherman Brothers, who are famous music writers for Disney, like Mary Poppins and pretty much any major Disney film you can remember that's a musical they wrote for. And the tour guide asked us like, oh yeah, whenever the Sherman Brothers came, Walt would be like, play the song, and they automatically knew what song it was. Now, me being a Disney file myself, I look at Adam and I'm like, Feed the Birds, which is a song from Mary Poppins. And the tour guide was like, oh, did both of you know it? Like basically looking at me and Candace, and we're both just like, Feed the Birds. She's like, oh yeah, you guys know. So Candace basically answered every trivia question that our tour guide had. And so they really enjoyed the studio tour. And then I brought the office tour, and then I brought them to our floor and gave them a tour of Marvel. And some of the other wrestling fans on the floor came out, and yeah, they had a great time. And if you look on Johnny and Candace's Twitter, they posted about it, and especially Johnny, he tagged me in his tweet and in his Instagram post. So basically since then, I've been getting notifications and ads since last Tuesday. And
so do you have the most followers out of all of us now then, right?
Oh no, still not. I don't even think I've broken 500 yet, because that's how low I am.
Why are you people not following Jim? This is like the time that me, Byron, and Jim were outside of Lucha Underground, and somebody asked to take a picture with me and Byron and to make Jim take it. Like, do you guys not recognize the power of the Jimmy V? It says the Jimmy V. It's not just Jimmy V. It's the Jimmy V.
It's not a Jimmy V. It's the Jimmy V.
Also, no disrespect to Jim Valvano. I know he is the original Jimmy V. But right now I am the
does he predate handsome Jimmy Valiant? Because I don't know if he does.
And does he know how to use Twitter? Because if not, you should be following the Jimmy V.
That's true, but Jimmy Valiant was only Jimmy V after he was Jimmy Valiant. So
yeah, and he was also like 900 years old, so he probably predates everyone. Yeah, because he's old as shit.
Well,
pretty much.
I think the entire thing is amazing. I'm a Gargano fan for many reasons.
Dude, and that match was dope. I actually watched the show and thoroughly enjoyed it. That match specifically, Kyrie and Shayna Baszler, also awesome.
So good.
War Games match was super, super fun. I wish that Undisputed Era would have won to reward their awesome shenanigans throughout the match, but it is what it is.
And there's a lot that I missed because I was a part of the live audience. Like for example, with Johnny and Alistair, I didn't notice that Johnny was like, "End it." I'm like, if I could, because of my vantage point, I couldn't see him say anything. But I feel like that added a lot of psychology to the match, and it made it.
Yeah, it was a cool moment. It reminded me of "I'm Sorry, I Love You" with Shawn Michaels, but with hate behind it instead.
Right. And I think that, a lot of people realized the gear that he was wearing for that takeover was the Punisher. But I think people may have missed the message with that, and the fact that the Punisher thinks he's a good guy, and he kind of is. But at the same time, he's doing bad things. But he's doing bad things because he believes is right, which totally now mirrors the whole entire hashtag Johnny Gargano did nothing wrong.
And also, Punisher, a lot of the other heroes think he's full of shit and don't support his actions, just like Johnny's also getting. from the rest of the roster. It's great. It's great. I picked that up too, and I'm like, this is great. We need to get him like to go crazy in the Mystic Arts so he can get some Doctor Strange gear to fight Aleister Black or something. I'm down with that.
I will say that he did let me know about some future gear, which I cannot mention here, but I am looking forward to it because
I can't wait until that Howard the Duck gear makes its debut. And the man thing gear is going to be amazing.
I will say huge props to the guys at Main Event Gear. They're the guys who outline and create all of this gear for him. They've been doing it since, even before his takeover New Orleans gear, but starting with that one, since that was the first Marvel one, like hats off to those guys. Those guys are super cool. You can follow them on Instagram and Twitter at Main Event Gear.
And they're kind of a new big gear company now, right? Like a lot of people are using them instead of High Spots, and because they have really high quality shit.
Yeah, and they're very detailed. They basically did like just for Survivor Series weekend, they did like the New Days stuff. They did the bars stuff. They did they originally they'd done Becky Lynch's stuff. They've done Alexa Bliss's. They do pretty much everyone now, just because of the high quality of their work.
That's awesome.
So
a soldier.
Jim, you can't give us a hint of what's going on. Like, is he going to move in with Candace's family out here and like start wearing a Hawkeye West Coast Avengers shirt, or what?
Yeah.
No, I believe he's moving to Michigan because he's going to be wearing some Great Lakes Avengers gear.
Oh hell yeah, Flatman, let's do it. Wait, shit, it was Flatman and Great Lakes Avengers, right? I'm drawing a blank. Fuck.
We've stumped Casey. Everyone should be stumped by this, Casey.
It's because I've been reading nothing but Swamp Thing, which is a DC property. Sorry.
I thought we had put a kibosh on DC for the rest of the night. Damn it.
Well, you know what? I'm reading Spider-Geddon. Okay, I'm buying every single issue of the Spider-Geddon crossover. So, what was his name? Flatman. Okay, that was right.
Fuck. Mr. Why is he always got to be right? God damn it! Can the man just not be wrong one fucking time on this goddamn show?
The great Big Bertha, Doorman, and eventually Squirrel Girl.
I thought I had a 50-50 chance of just saying you were wrong and it being true, but of course not. Why would that ever be the case?
My comic book knowledge isn't as good as my wrestling knowledge, but there was a time where it surpassed it, like when I was like 12 years old.
I will say War Games was absolutely phenomenal. I tweeted about it that night, and I said that War Games was great. Survivor Series would probably fall a little short of the mark, and Raw and SmackDown after that would probably be dismal. I'll say this: Survivor Series wasn't half bad. It wasn't actually,
half good either.
well, you'll have that. But I liked the Ronda Charlotte match.
Yeah, that match was really great, and the fucking beatdown was wonderful.
Loved it was the best ending, a little bit predictable, but it's really the only ending you could do on a short notice thing like that, because those two are really not supposed to lock horns yet in their world. But I think it raised everyone's stock by it happening the way it did, and that's no slight to Becky Lynch at all, who is extremely over and still a sloppy wrestler. I don't care what Byron says.
You know what? I actually went back and watched like previous like NXT matches with Becky, and I have to attribute it to the fact that now that she's working like a much more stretched out schedule, that her work rate went down, probably because it's easier on her body.
Well, and it should. It should. It's sad. It's a sad phenomenon, but it's like where a wrestler has to put in the most is when they're making $400 in a night to go kill themselves at some indie. Then they have to work pretty hard to get themselves over character-wise and still have a high work rate when they're in NXT. And then once they get to the big show and wear a belt once or twice, they really should pretty much do nothing at any available time there is to do nothing, because otherwise they're going to not make it to retirement.
Yeah.
It's just that roll-away slam she does. The roll-away slam.
Hey, man. All I gotta tell you guys,
rolls them off her.
All I gotta tell you guys is be like Kevin Nash. That's all you gotta do. Just be like fucking Kevin Nash, and everyone will be okay. nothing will be watchable, but you know what? It doesn't matter. We'll all be safe.
But yet, I never had a problem paying good money for Kevin Nash. I don't know why, but I never did.
You know what?
Surgeries.
I love Diesel, man. I was a big fan of Diesel. I'm not gonna lie. I wouldn't, like, if I was on commentary, I wouldn't yell, "I'm marking out, bro," and get kicked off of commentary forever. But you know,
so
you got out with one of our guests, I guess, former guests.
My question coming from the whole Ronda Charlotte thing is the Becky factor. Becky is super over, and I know Byron
wait. Would you say it's the Bex factor?
It is the Bex factor. Wow.
I had all I ever wanted, and I'll never get that back.
Byron, I know
I hate Bex factor,
but you don't gotta
look at me like that.
Terrible.
It's
Byron, I know you were super stoked about the whole Bex factor going into that, and then she was pulled from the lump up from Nia, the ultimate potato. But really, is this really a thing?
I think it is. I think she's someone that everyone has liked. I think that advice she got from Shawn Michaels to act like you belong in the room, act like she is the best. I think that has helped her out and given her an edge that people can latch onto. I mean, they want to cheer for her, and she's been the underdog, and she's never really won the big one. And
her Twitter shit talk game is so on point.
Especially compared to Ronda's.
It's like you're rooting for this underdog, and then she gets mad, and you're like, I'm mad too that this is happening to her, and then that makes you connect with her even more. And it's like the whole Stone Cold thing. It's like it's that appeal. It's that
what?
Yeah, and to a different extent, but there is that similar type of edge, and it's great. You got to strike when the iron's hot.
I didn't see her break her goddamn neck and finish the match.
So I think you definitely throw her at Ronda. You throw her at the most money-making matches that you can, because you don't know how long it's going to last.
And walk it dry.
No, he likes her too. I think. Listen to his podcast. Read the
price check on a jackass.
But her Twitter game, though, like you said, is incredible, and Ronda's is awful. But then Shayna came back with something that was interesting, and now I want to see Shayna and Becky go at it. It's kind of the only thing about this is the same problem that you have with Charlotte and Ronda right now, is that you don't want. It's not so much someone going over. You don't want someone taking a clean loss right now.
Well, this is always going to be the problem when you build stars, but at the same time, I think it was very fortuitous for them to have Becky fall out of that match. Charlotte led Ronda to where Ronda should be at this point in her career, and as much as I like where they're going with Becky Lynch, I do not believe that Becky Lynch has the ability to do the same thing with Ronda in the ring that Charlotte was able to do.
So did you guys see when Charlotte pie-faced the ref and her hand just completely enveloped his whole head?
Yeah.
It was fucking amazing.
Look, I don't know. I think that Becky can deliver a big match. I think Charlotte has done.
But can she deliver a big match with Ronda, who's green as shit?
Yeah, you just have to do a bunch of garbage spots. Just hide it.
Yeah,
I mean, they did. I mean, Charlotte and Ronda hit it. They had some garbage in that match, but they sold it all the right way, and they made it work. And Charlotte was able to go into Ronda's garbage and have it work, and kind of let Ronda take the reins a little bit in the middle of the match too, and have it work, which was pretty impressive.
See, what sucks is it's like not Extreme Rules coming up, because that would be like the perfect place for them to have a match where you can do that shit.
But you also, when Ronda was getting signed, there were rumors of grooming Asuka for this spot, so you could do armbar versus armbar, and it was such an unofficial thing. It's like they had Asuka use Ronda's armbar, a similar armbar set up for Asuka lock for a few tapings, just to like start that progress. And I think they can latch onto that sort of armbar versus armbar with Becky. So you can also have some technical sort of jousting back and forth, trying to go for the holds. I think, there's a science that could be interesting on top of the garbage, on top of I guess, like not throwing the spinny leg drop or the rollover suplex.
Yeah,
I don't know, whatever.
but-
Ronda's were garbage and Becky's garbage in the same match, and that's a bit boring.
I don't know. I don't think Becky's garbage, and I think she would turn up for that. I think she's been at it for a long time. I think she's really good.
Yeah, but if you look at her good matches, I can't recall any time where Becky ever helped carry somebody that needed to get put over. I just don't see her being that kind of wrestler, Byron. I don't think she's the kind of person that you put in there with someone like Ronda that you're trying to get over.
So, Justin, do you see Charlotte as being able to carry people?
She just did. She carried Ronda. I thought it was going to be garbage, and she totally pulled it off.
So make it a three-way.
It might have to be. That might be where you need to go for WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's also going to be one of those things where it leads to horsewomen versus horsewomen. I feel like it's going to lead to that eventually.
It has to. It has to. I mean, they're building those girls up now in NXT, and they're finally getting some time. I mean, Jessamine and what's her face, Marina definitely need some time.
Those fucking run-ins, dude. Okay, that match made the baby faces look so fucking stupid because they did triple teams for what seemed like hours until Dakota Kai came out. And then, hours more until Io came out and did her moonsault. It's like, hey, maybe run out together.
The other thing I was thinking about with Ronda's horsewomen is that if she's going to do that, they're going to have to heel turn her. And judging by the reaction in LA, I mean, Ronda even said at one point, hey, it's my hometown or something. I mean, she was trying to get the cheap pop, and man, all she got from LA was heat. They did not want her to be the good guy at all.
That was amazing.
It was so funny.
It was
standing up after the match, and they went for the sympathy, and it was no sympathy. It was just like, get off the fucking stage. Boy.
But I think she handled it well. You mean mug, you play to the camera.
The same reaction in the same building when Triple H tapped out to Brock breaking his arm, and the crowd booed the shit out of Triple H and chanted, "You tapped out." I was there. I was one of those people.
You mean son of a bitch.
I mean, honestly, it was destined to fail anyway because you put her up against Becky, who's arguably probably the hottest female wrestler they have right now, aside from Ronda. And if everyone loves Becky so much, no matter what, she's still against Becky. So even if you put Charlotte in the ring with her, people are just gonna be like, well, that's still Becky's enemy, so we're still gonna boo her.
So are they giving Ronda the Roman Reigns treatment? Are they gonna shove her down everyone's throat as a babyface forever? Or are they just gonna let her go heel? Everyone wants Ronda to be a heel. Does Ronda want to be a heel?
No, she should be though, because you know what? Her mentor, she needs to talk to Jean LaBelle about this shit, because Jean LaBelle was one of the greatest heels in wrestling history.
Right, but she's also, she named herself after Roddy Piper because she loved how badass of a heel he was. So I feel like I actually think Ronda does want to be a heel, but I think because you just brought her in as a face, she's got to live on that a little bit.
I don't know. Something about her ego, and this is the kind of the way she was in MMA too. She hated it when people thought she was the heel. But I mean, Josh Barnett was around her all the time, and the rest of her horsewomen. I mean, and he's clearly heel. And look at what he's shown Baszler. I mean, he helped create the Baszler character, and
she's amazing.
Yeah, and she's great. And I just feel like Ronda is still fighting it. She was fighting it when she was in MMA. She's fighting it now in WWE. And I think Vince and Stephanie are going along with it for now. But I don't know how far that can continue. I think eventually when she gets hooked up with her buddies, she has to go full heel, and it has to be one of those dastardly mean Sid Vicious style heels.
But I also think there's those delusional heels where you don't, and they do this on purpose sometimes, but it's like she can do everything she normally does and not do dastardly stuff. Like she keeps trying to win over the crowd, and if a crowd doesn't want that,
but that's so nuanced. I don't think she can pull it off.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
and she
doesn't do that, it's going to happen to her anyway. Like she's going to be like that. People aren't going to like her. She's going to have to prove herself, and she's going to have to be, she's going to have to go down that road where a lot of people go.
All right, I don't want to talk about WWE too much longer, but I do want to talk about this one factor. I saw the tweet that said Becky Lynch doesn't need Conor McGregor. She's so over. First of all, the whole
what does that
Conor,
even mean?
the whole Conor thing, with Conor, saying whatever about Becky and supporting her, and Becky replying and saying, "I heard Conor can get on a plane and be in New York in a drop of a hat or whatever."
I didn't even know about this.
Oh yeah, this is new fun stuff. Here's the thing about Conor McGregor. If Conor McGregor wants to, in any fashion, be a part of WWE, they absolutely should make it happen. I know you don't agree with that, Meatloaf. Why don't you agree with that?
I said before, he's too much of a liability. All he has to do is try to be the big hard man, because he's got little man syndrome, and throw something. It goes flying into the crowd. You're a big corporation, and
publicly traded big corporation. Yeah.
Yeah, and so for me, I get how he draws money. I get what he can make money for the WWE, and the controversy thing sells cash, blah blah blah. But he says, if he says "cunt" live on the WWE, that's like gonna cause a few issues. If he starts if he physically gets in a fight with someone and just decides to go into business, he's gonna hurt somebody, and that's gonna equal another lawsuit for them. And like I said, if he just gets in the thing and he just throws his toys out like the pram, like he always does, and he launches a chair and it goes flying into the crowd, he could basically in one 10-minute segment he could close the WWE's doors.
I don't know that he could close their doors. I think that they could say, like, hey, that's not what we planned, and it won't have been. And they'll say that he went into business for himself, and that will be the truth. And here's the thing. Here's why I think Conor is worth it at almost any price. Pay him $25 million to come in for 4 appearances. Pay him more than that, because the WWE is doing this new deal with SmackDown moving to Fox. And as a part of that deal, Fox will get to sell ads. They have not sold all of those ads yet, and they have not set those ad rates yet. And if you bring in Conor McGregor, who is 100% the largest star in sports entertainment of any kind right now, if you bring him in, you will pop numbers, you will bring in eyeballs, you will have the best ratings for maybe 8 or 9 weeks straight on cable. You'll beat those numbers that Walking Dead was getting 3 or 4 years ago. And what you can do is set ad rates so fucking high, and this switch from SmackDown being on USA to being on Fox, you can set the ad rates so high that one Conor McGregor appearance, even at WrestleMania, that's not on those networks, but just getting that buzz going, could literally earn the WWE billions of dollars over the next 5 years in ad revenue. So it's absolutely worth it almost at any price. Even if the guy goes off the rails, you try to shield yourself and insulate yourself from it. But if he'll do it, if he'll actually come and play nice with Becky Lynch or do some stupid tag match or even just cut a couple of promos and then show up at WrestleMania and not even get in a ring, if he'll do that, it's worth it for them at almost any price, because they could actually capitalize on it even more than an MMA promotion, probably more than a boxing promotion at this point. The WWE could use Conor more than anybody on the planet.
And if they really want to do it, they can just work the amount that they gave him, like they did with Mayweather, and just lie to everyone and say they gave him way more money than they really did. Because I thought Floyd and fucking Big Show, that match ruled. I love that shit. And there was a lot of problems with the build to it. They had to do a double turn just to get the fans into it. Because they're like, oh, actually, everyone kind of hates Floyd Mayweather. We got to change this around a little bit.
Right. And you never know with Conor. I mean, you just kind of put him out there and see what the reaction is first, and then write something to it. You give yourself a couple of months, like have him do something at Rumble or right before it, and then you spin it into, you weave it into WrestleMania somehow. It's big business.
Have him actually kill Sheamus to, assert his dominance, and then we're good.
I also think though, every single one of those concerns, all of those are reasons why people watch and tune into McGregor. The fights are cool, but you tune in to the press conferences, you tune in to whatever you think his voice fight when you show up. And it's like you tune into that, and that's part of what people love about him.
What are you saying, Meef?
Yeah, but the main demographic of the WWE isn't those people. I think it's not anymore. It was before. To the people watching it on TV.
But it all
going to
just
the events
makes
there with their
them.
kids. The money's coming from people with fucking kids buying 70,000 t-shirts.
I
It's
get
not
that.
coming from
I get that. And if
people
they
going,
look,
oh, I'm able to see me.
I agree with you.
I'm
If
just
they can
saying,
play
something-
Connor, if they can play Connor as a baby face and he keeps it together and just cuts a couple of, smarmy old style John Cena-esque promos, they would do much bigger and better business. And that's what they should try to write for him. But obviously, you can't really tell Conor McGregor what to do at this point, and you can only kind of grab the reins and hold on and hope that it goes the direction that you want. But the guy does understand how to make a dollar, and they simply could benefit so much from it. I don't know if it'll happen. Yeah. I know there's a lot of talk about this whole Brock thing, if Brock's contract is actually in fact done or not. It'll be weird because the whole Brock coming over to UFC to fight DC thing, timing-wise, is horrible. You would expect to see something like that in late summer or early fall. You would not expect to see Vince wanting something like that to happen as you're moving into WrestleMania season. I don't know how that works, but with Cormier's timeline of wanting to retire in March at his birthday, and them wanting that match to happen, I mean, Brock's going to fight somebody in the UFC and probably fairly soon. And it looks like all signs are pointing to that. I don't know how Brock's going to work his contract, but Vince McMahon absolutely should be worried about not having Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania this year as well. He is a big name. He is a draw, and he's got to find a way to work him in there as well. So I don't know how
and he has the belt right now, which is a little troublesome too.
He's allowed to bring the belt in, can't he?
Yeah, and they can get Brock to show up, and they can pay him a one-off to drop the belt. They've done it before. That's not so much a concern as the fact of, this is the whole reason why we talked about why they put it on him in the first place and why Finn Balor was fooked, because they need a little bit of that prestige, and they've done a really good job of elevating the Universal title and putting it in the stratosphere of, you have to be a giant monster to have that belt. You do have to be a big name. And it's going to make it even more important when somebody like Finn or one of the smaller guys really does work their way up there and get that belt. They're going to keep it on the guys like Strowman and Lesnar and these big dudes that are monsters, and Reigns and whatnot. That's it. They have to. And now that they've set that precedent, they can't go into a WrestleMania season without that. So,
and Justin, I think you might want to, you can use this as a segue if you want, but I think that's well and fine for a WWE champion, but for a Lucha Underground champion.
Okay. Well, here's what I want to talk about to back Meef up here a little bit. How many white guys can you put in a limo? And are there any white gods in Aztec culture, or are there any Latino gods left in Aztec culture?
Well, there's the point that I made. I think the last time we were on air was the issue that I kind of had with it slightly was the fact that this is the DM. This turns up in Mexico with the Spanish army. There's two different versions of the story. So there's one where Moctezuma tells them that he is the god Quetzalcoatl.
Quetzalcoatl, yeah.
Returning, them. And the other thing is a story about how, because they were on horses, and obviously they weren't horses before. So when they saw them riding horses, it was like, oh, these are the gods, they've returned, and then that leads into astro alien theories.
So basically, you're saying white guys riding into town is Aztec mythology.
It's a bad part.
Did we?
It's not.
It's not
best
good.
Part, the United culture and the actual technically, what's it? Germ warfare, chemical warfare.
Pretty much, yeah.
So it's a subject that I personally would have avoided as a white person.
Well, you know what, Meef? It's led me to figure out who the other gods were in the limo. Okay, at least two of them. I've identified two of them. They're both going to be the leader of the Snake Tribe. It's the Harris brothers. And this whole time we thought those were Nazi tattoos that said SS, but if you put both of them together, it says.
So,
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
I workshopped that joke in the DM already for the people in the chat. Yeah, sorry, I had to do it. I don't think that Lucha Underground.
All right, I do want to point this out. So they say that all the gods have taken human form. Okay, they say that all the gods have taken human form, but then right after that they kind of recant that because Jack White, what's his name? Jake Strong, Jack White, whatever. He gets in the limo and clearly, and then they say that they need to find a replacement for Matanza. So who is played by Jeff Cobb, who is mildly ethnic. So he's gone, and then whatever god is inhabiting people through the gauntlet is no longer on any person of color. So your two gods that may have been people of color are gone, and then who do you have left? You have Australian Suicide as Hexagon or whatever one side.
Yeah, it's Hexagon Black.
Hexagon Black. They went all the way. They went all the way to Mexico to bring in a white guy for that one,
and bring in a fucking Australian. Oh, god damn it!
Besides, but okay, so you got him. You've got Kevin Kross, who's the White Rabbit, who I'm assuming is got some kind of godlike powers.
Hey, you know what? That's Alice in Wonderland related. I'm okay with that one being a white dude. I'm
just saying. I'm just going through whoever. I'm just going through all the superpower people right now.
Okay.
Then you've got Jake, who is a white guy, and then just to make sure all white people are represented, since we have an Australian and a country boy, we got to throw in Stu Bennett. So we have a little British white guy flavor to it. So now we're ethnically covering all of the white guy bases with our Aztec gods.
I'm going to be real with you guys right now that we should have seen this coming around the end of season 1 when the two Lucha stars that were fighting for the title in Ultima Lucha 1 were a Puerto Rican guy pretending to be Mexican and a guy from Kentucky pretending to be Mexican. We should have seen the writing on the wall.
Right. Well, I mean, that's you're right. You're absolutely right. Wait, so, and I'm kind of going backwards here because I do want to talk about some of the rest of the episode. We haven't talked about it yet. There's a few things to unpack, but this is the important stuff. And then I want to get to whether or not we're ever going to see Lucha Underground again. But who all is gone, and who do we think is really gone for real? Jack Evans, gone for real?
Gone.
I don't know.
Gone for real.
Gone.
I don't know. I mean, I think it could be gone for real right now, but it could change. I think that's one of those that could go back.
Jeff Cobb.
Gone for real.
Gone.
Yeah.
Oh,
Killshot, gone for real.
Killshot. Wait, now Shane, I know I'm 50-50 on Shane. If they come back in a timely fashion and ask him to come and do a few appearances, I think he'll come for a weekend of taping. I think he'll come and work an angle with AR Fox late in the season.
I feel like Killshot is gone, but Sergeant Jermaine Strickland is still very much.
Well, yeah, you know what I'm saying. I think that he'll make an appearance personally.
I think if we see him full time, we'll see him get a run on top.
Maybe
if he comes back full time. I mean, I think he's earned. I think
Whoa.
What?
He's not white. How is he going to get on top?
But he is American, so that's close.
Oh, he's American.
I mean,
he's an American indie performer. That almost reads the same as white on paper. And, his name is Shane Strickland too. It's not like Lamar Johnson, so I think he's got a chance.
Damn.
Just saying.
I mean, they did change his name to Jermaine, so
they did black it up a little bit, just a little bit. That was for me. I hope they did that just for me.
Wait, which one of the cracker ass writers decided to make that name? They're like, hold on a second, this season is too white. How do we fix it? Let's call that one guy Jermaine. Okay,
exactly. That's how they did it. We're gonna let Willie Mack go over at Ultima Lucha, and we're gonna call this dude Jermaine.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not going to get any better, guys. It gets harsher from here on out. That's all I can say.
You know what? Hey, since they had Stu Bennett with his fucking WWE catchphrase, maybe that's who the guys in the limo are going to be, and we might. Okay, so we'll probably get the Hurricane saying, "Stand back! There's a hurricane coming through." That'll probably happen. He's white, but then
he's going to be the guy that they inhabit that gets the gauntlet next season.
The reason they changed Killshot's name to Jermaine is because his real name is Shane. But you can only have one Shane, and he's got to be white. And they're going to bring in Tropical Storm Shane Helms.
Yeah.
Tropical Storm Shane Helms.
Check it out.
Stand back. There's a storm coming through.
You could have Carlito because he has a catchphrase from the WWE that he could use to close out a show. So he's Puerto Rican, so they could have him pretend to be Mexican like Mil Muertes. And it's a mess. I'm sorry, it's a mess. We're usually not this caught up on it, but the fact that they threw it in our faces at the end of the season of what may be the end of all seasons, we're going to talk about it.
All right, so let me keep going down the list though. Mil Muertes, do we think that Ricky Banderas will be back? Because the way he's been posting and talking recently, I don't know.
I think he's kind of like CMLL Gilbert now. You know what I mean? But they killed the best part of his act, so it's like it kind of sucks. They can still bring her back.
That was my next question. Katrina, I believe that Carly is done. Maybe she'll do one appearance in some kind of ethereal
flashback.
Talking to. Yeah, I think she'll talk to somebody from the grave one time, but I don't think you'll see her ringside. I don't think she'll ever be a performer in Lucha Underground full time again.
But it's interesting.
I think the stuff where Eric has mentioned on multiple appearances about characters and storylines run their course. There's only on this type of a show, there's only so much you could see someone do. On a regular wrestling show, I mean, you'll see them do the same thing over and over again.
Well, we're talking about a lot of people here that got off. How about Ricky Reyes? Do we see Ricky Reyes coming back? Because he was the one who announced the return of Lucha Underground for season 5.
So I think Mil Muertes is one of those storylines where like they wrapped it up. There's no beef, but they wrapped it up, and maybe he does something else. But it does make sense that you don't see Mil Muertes on the show anymore. It makes sense.
It does.
Yeah, because there's no motivation for him now, which sucks. Yeah, because I love Mil Muertes. He's probably one of my favorite characters on the show.
Okay, what about Chelsea Green? Somebody who they did not write out of the show, who
gone.
Was getting, obviously gone. That fucking sucks. Because she's one of the ones they didn't kill off.
You know what they need? They need, like, number one, more luchadors that are luchadors. Number two, they need a better lawyer working out those contracts.
Specifically for the women that do appearances versus Pentagon.
Yeah.
Seems to be a problem area. Yeah.
It'd be nice if they weren't actually physically working on other company shows by the time their big like WrestleMania main event for the Underground pops up.
Right. Okay, Luchasaurus. Do we see Austin Madison back? I mean, he's built his whole career on the gimmick now. And sadly, he got his head chopped off. But I don't, I forgot to ask DJ and Roach about this too. If he was written out because of the injury that he got, or if that was always the plan, because he was very quickly becoming a solid giant white superstar in Lucha Underground, and his bit was getting over, and the stuff that him and Mundo did was phenomenal, top-notch stuff, some of the best stuff this season.
Gut feeling is he's the replacement for Matanza. He would have to wear a bodysuit, but my gut feeling is he's the replacement for Matanza. They don't even call him Matanza. They call him like the god that's inhabiting Matanza's body.
Right, whatever
because, as far as we know, Matanza is Matanza's legal name because Papa Cueto, he had some issues with what that baby did when it came out of his wife.
Right.
Because it means massacre in Spanish, just reminding everyone.
Yes.
I mean, I
know. I am envisioning the blood coming out of the elevator in The Shining right now, Casey.
It was never the same, Justin. You know, the Cueto family is known for their huge dick, but it was like trying to throw a hot dog down a hallway after that. How the fuck is a baby that big? They did not have any of that vajazzling when I was a young man.
Hey, wait. Zeus King says that Cortez no-showed WrestleCade.
Oh, great decision.
For real?
Let me just say this. I am happy and honored to share this rarefied space with WrestleCade of Ricky no-showing them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
I got a follow-up question to Zeus. Who noticed?
Wow. Wait, I don't hate on Ricky like that. I still got love for the guy. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Damn.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Shots fired.
Gunshots fired. That's just like a blast in the chest. Jesus Christ. All right. So perennial crowd favorite, Vinny Massaro. Does Vinny Massaro get another chance for DJ to write more losses for him?
I think so.
God. I hope him and Pizza Man come back.
I think there's
Kikutaro. Fuck, they should have signed him day one.
I think they put him under a hood and bring him back no matter what.
Yeah, just put him. Just have him be Kikutaro.
Yeah.
I mean, his mask is literally his own face, man.
I think that we saw Dario get shot, and then we saw his funeral, and then we saw him get brought back to life. I think that it's going to take a lot to have a lot for a specific type of death to not see someone come back. I think anyone who got sacrificed, there's a creative way to do something with them.
Well, and I had heard talk that there might be some afterlife realm where some of these guys exist, and that had the season not only been 20 episodes, there was fully a plan to try to do something with Jack Evans and Vinny and some of these other guys who had been sacrificed in this afterlife world, and maybe bring them all back, or maybe not, or just have them do some vignettes or something fun. But with only 20 episodes and a limited budget for vignettes, it doesn't really play into the storyline in a big way. These guys become more disposable then, and that's unfortunate, because I think there is room to bring those guys back, but I don't think that it's going to happen now necessarily.
And what sucks is if you do an underworld thing or you do a time travel reboot, you have to bring everyone back, and everyone's not coming back. So
it's going to be an alternate timeline if you do a time travel reboot at this point.
There's a thing called
the buyback is the end.
What's that?
The end of the series. The end of the series is the thing, because basically this entire series happened after the funeral, and we've just gone back to basically the funeral. So literally, Dario could come back, fire people, so you don't have to see them.
Man.
And it could literally, the next season could be literally just Nelson and taking 5 guys with him.
If they don't open season 5 with Dario waking up in bed and Patrick Duffy stepping out of a shower, I'm gonna be really pissed.
I'll stop.
That's pretty good.
Who shot Dario? So the other thing I want to say is there was some talk about this whole Dario having a cloudy eye in the coffin thing, and that he was actually Papa Cueto in the future because of it, and blah blah blah. If you notice, if you go back and watch that last scene carefully, he does have a cloudy eye in one part, but it is from the lighting. It is not an effect on the eye. It's just a weird reflection of the lighting over the coffin. And as soon as he sits up, that eye is not cloudy anymore. So I don't believe that theory holds any weight. I think that was simply a camera issue.
That's people that didn't watch the episode seeing the one screen cap from that scene and assuming, basically, is what that is. Yeah.
And if you go back and watch it again, you can clearly tell it's a light with a diffusion on it that is causing that to happen, and not some kind of other effect. And he's not wearing a prosthetic in his eye or.
Is that a softbox or a Kino?
No, I think it was actually just like a 350 with a piece of diffusion taped on it. I don't think it was.
It was a fucking light bulb hanging from a string with the budget they had this season.
That's my lighting.
It around. I'm surprised I didn't think of that. With what Meath mentioned earlier, it's like, Aerostar went back, and essentially all of season 4 could be retconned immediately.
Well, and it could. And honestly, if you're talking in pure like Doctor Whovian sense, the whole goal now would be to stop that last scene in the limo from ever happening. You know, from them ever actually getting all that power and from that tragic ending. But yes, you would want to get back certain key individuals to make that storyline work.
Yeah,
So as much as this season was a whiteout, and then you have the everyone on top, all the gods in the limo being all a bunch of white guys. They're all you have like Australian and American and British, all various versions of British, and the places their criminals have been sent to or been colonized. But so then you look on the other side of things. You have so, thanks, Meef. But then you have like if you bring back Tejano, if you bring back Wagner, who I think they absolutely should bring back, and you put them up with the Lucha Friends, or you put them up with Aerostar, Drago, Cuerno.
Here's a guy I think that will also come back. I think Nightclaw will come back if there is a season 5.
I mean, he has been performing a lot in the U.S. as of late, so
that'd be so great.
I think it'll happen.
Bandito with Cuerno.
So then
Bandito and Cuerno together.
Bandito, Cuerno, Nightclaw.
What I think is Bandito and Cuerno makes sense in terms of like that's their hunting tribe almost, aren't they? And that leads into my theory of what you should do with Cuerno. Have him and Bandito go around basically.
Well, I say this too, though. I think at this point, anybody else that you bring up from AAA, you give them a gimmick. I don't think you let them do their own gimmicks anymore. I know that Dorian wanted it to be that way because he wanted to help put his guys over down there. But at this point in time, the way they're leaving him left and right anyway, his best bet is to create more new IP like he did with Cuerno, as opposed to trying to use the existing IP, because that isn't exactly working out so well for him.
No, especially when
DJ named them.
Yeah, we could have.
What, you're not excited about Big Bad Mexican coming in? Big Brown Mexican, Hernandez's new name.
Oh God,
Jesus Christ!
Did you notice, by the way? You know how Hernandez had to he has to Greek out his Superman tattoo on his chest.
Yep.
Like he has to do it at Impact now, and Lucha made him do it recently.
Wait, he does. They have to. He does it on Impact.
This is why you shouldn't promote DC properties.
It's weird because they don't make Braun Strowman do it on WWE.
Yeah.
That's my point. Strowman has a Superman tattoo. That's like
wait. First of all, that means hope. Sorry, I had to do it.
God damn it, Justin.
It's not a Superman tattoo; it's a hope tattoo. All right, so I'm gonna go. Let me go backwards. Let me talk a little bit about this episode very quickly. I don't want to get real deep into it, but first off, we get Taya getting possessed by Rosa. So now Taya is our Canadian god. We forgot our Canadian friends up north, our white friends from the north, and she's representing female white people. So we have a female white Canadian.
Is Rosa a god though, or is she a demon?
I don't know. I don't know.
Also, Canadians are owned by the Brits too.
But they said, they went right from the scene of her taking out Mundo into saying all the gods have taken human form. Even though, again, that's not entirely true because, then Swagger gets into the car and says that Matanza's dead and they'll have to find a replacement for him. And he's got the gauntlet, which I'm assuming is one of the other gods, but isn't on somebody currently.
I have a slight theory on that one.
Yeah, go ahead.
It could be in John. It could be in Johnny.
Still, you think you got left in Johnny?
It looked like there was a weird transference for me.
I mean, the way that Taya domed him out and power bottomed him in the locker room, though, I would tend to believe that he does not have any of that power left in him.
Especially with the fact if he did have that power, then there's no point in Strong having the gauntlet or wanting it back.
Right. Anyway, so the whole thing starts off with Rosa going into Taya, which I thought was a good twist. I was not really expecting that. The 2 out of 3 falls match. I don't know if we mentioned this yet. I know we've talked about it in the DM, but there was an issue at Ultima Lucha of everyone running over. And I don't know if we publicly discussed this yet or not, but I talked to some people backstage afterwards, and let's just say that some of the bosses backstage were very, very upset with talent about how much people went into business for themselves and how much everyone went over, did extra spots and things that were not planned. The night was very, very long, and by the time this match even happened, the crowd was kind of dead. And it sucked because these two guys put on some of the best performances throughout the whole year. This match itself was actually really good. What got cut out, I don't believe, is there was a lot of excitement missing. This is more like in the Jeremiah Crane matches where they cut out him running around the ring 5 times before he dives into somebody and just cut right into the dive roll. Like, yeah, it adds something. It definitely adds something live, but I don't think it really took away too much to have it gone from TV. But the fact that they go through those first 2 falls, by the time you're back from the second commercial break or whatever, like you do what, 4 minutes, you get a fall, go to a commercial break, come back, and 2 seconds later, there's the second fall. Yeah, why bother having a 2 out of 3 falls match? Yeah. Holy shit!
That's how you kill the gimmick right there. Yeah, kind of shitty.
It was. It was very unfortunate. Now, how the whole thing ended with Melissa running off and interfering with Dash and that whole thing. You see it. You saw it coming from a mile away, but it worked. It was functional. It was a functional ending. I wanted to see Phoenix win that match. I don't think that you can let Dragon Azteca get his heat back yet. I think that's a bigger storyline that needs time to play out. I don't think you want to run through that too fast, personally. So I like the ending in the fact that it was serviceable, not in the quality for storytelling. I don't know what you guys think.
I honestly just wanted to see Phoenix kill him and then like actually eat his brain. So I was a little disappointed.
Now, hey, Byron, Jim, was this the same day that was that awful battle royal that was quite possibly the worst thing I've ever seen in the Lucha Underground ring?
I think that was right before the match.
Yeah, I think so too, which is part of why all the heat was gone, right?
Yeah, I think I blocked out almost the entirety of that battle royal from my memory.
I did too. Yeah. Like I can't even remember who was in it other than AR Fox.
Yeah, I don't remember anything really. I think at that point too, like it was right. Was it after? Was this before or after intermission?
I think that right after intermission was the battle royal. Oh no,
it was all before, because intermission was when we were going to go do our thing, and we had to wait after all these matches.
Right, and it got dark.
Right,
so we couldn't.
And everything was behind by an hour almost at the first intermission, and then everyone still went long and went into business for themselves. All the matches went long. Except for the tag match, from what I understand. The tag match actually went the way that it was supposed to go, and that was probably because it was
they were first
booked that day too.
Oh yeah.
So nobody really could think far enough into it to go off the rails.
I think the tag match kind of fell apart too, but the people in there kind of held it together.
Well, you had the best of the best in there, so it's not surprising. Anyway, yeah, I loved a lot of the spots in this. I liked the table spots that they did. I liked the 2 out of 3 falls match. Something about how it got presented on TV just didn't work, and it was really rushing those first 2 falls. That was a call they had to make in editing. And you heard Evie Dub say it on this show that he asked for Ultima Lucha to be longer, that he could have easily made it into a 3-hour show, or done something else, or what they should have done was 2 2-hour-long shows. 2 hours.
I mean, also think what they could have cut out from all the backstage vignettes as well. Not just the stuff in the ring.
And you know what? El Rey's reluctance to give them that extra time when everything's already shot and would just need to be edited together doesn't really look all that great for another season of Lucha Underground. In my opinion.
It doesn't, and which is I'm rapidly getting there, but I want to get through a couple more things from Ultima 4 real quick. Shaul Guerrero's spot coming out next was one of the high points of the whole weekend. Was one of the high points of the show. Yeah. It worked perfectly. Chavo coming out, that's the best pop that he's ever gotten in the temple. The whole thing just worked great. I loved seeing it. It was probably one of the best in-ring tributes to Eddie we've seen since right after he died. And it was a great moment for her, and I hope that she keeps with it. I know she's doing stuff with WoW now. Yeah. So regardless of what happens with Lucha Underground, I'd like to see her keep performing and stay in there and maybe not try to start her own company yet.
Well, the funny thing is that when at the WoW taping that I went to, Dave McClain introduced her as from Lucha Underground, Shaul Guerrero. So I don't know how promising that sounds, but it can't be bad.
No, I mean, and that is one of the good signs, but McClain might also be working off of an older script, so to speak. We know that MGM does have some ties to the WoW promotion, but they're not producing the television. From what I understand, it is McLean and his people that are producing the Access show.
Interesting.
With some involvement, maybe just distribution from MGM. Maybe MGM just did the Access deal, but I don't believe it's not like Lucha Underground where MGM is producing the show. I don't believe that that's the case.
I also think that announcement was more for the in-house audience than it was for the TV taping. I think they'll just have the Chiron for her on the TV taping, and that's it.
But does that bode well for WoW that they're touting Lucha Underground instead of something even bigger? They're not saying, WWE Superstar or anything like that. It's like,
I mean, it's weird though, because they're their own organization, but at the same time they need help from talent from other organizations. For example, like the tapings that we went to, you have Santana Garrett, who's their champion, and then you have her main rival for at least the set of tapings that I went to be Tessa Blanchard, who right now is the Impact Women's Champion.
Right.
So,
and that's kind of where they're going to have to go. And I do like it. I think it's healthy for the wrestling business. It just strikes me as funny when any of them is touting each other like, hey, we're touting this top star from another show with a 1.2 rating. Like, you know what I mean? If even. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. But I digress. I liked Shaw. I liked her being there. I liked her taking over for Melissa. I thought that was good timing. The famous B thing. Oh, get is my favorite thing ever.
They cut that down too.
They cut it way down. But I mean, it doesn't matter. It entertained me live, and there was enough of it left in the televised version that it still made me smile. What are you saying, Meath?
Came out dressed like Raven. She came out dressed like Raven as well.
She did kind of come out dressed like Raven.
I know when I sat here watching, I didn't know it happened, obviously, and I got goose pimples, got a little bit choked up, and was feeling a bit like, well, where the hell is this coming from? And I actually did cry when she started doing like the Three Amigos and stuff. It was that good live too, and like seeing it a second time on TV, it was still that good. I mean, like you really felt that electricity. It really was a real moment. None of us knew that she was there, and we had been backstage that day. And I had not seen her. I did not know she was there. Maybe she was in the VIP when we were backstage. So
yeah, or she could have been in a different part.
Yeah, somehow we just didn't catch her being back there.
I mean, we didn't see everyone backstage either. To be fair, because we were all over the place. So
yeah, we were moving around quite a bit. But yeah, it was a great spot. She even got in the excuse me for Mom Vicky. I like that. It's probably the first time that Vicky has really been acknowledged as a Guerrero in the whole chain of lineage, which I thought was interesting too. But at this point, look, man, she was a top talent at WWE for 3 years.
And she's the nicest lady in the world. She's an absolutely lovely person. They should just be nice to her. Yeah.
Well, that's why I liked it. I like that Shaw threw Vicky in there and didn't disregard her. And as much as I love Chavo, even though Byron doesn't, he does not do that.
I love Chavo.
No. Chavo frequently, almost intentionally leaves out Vicky. I don't know if they have heat or what, but it was nice to see Vicky get a little props in that moment too. Mac versus Mill in a death match. I got nothing to say. Super solid. What you come to expect from Lucha Underground.
I still don't understand what he meant by that.
And you probably never will.
Yeah.
I mean, all I have to say is all I can remember from that day, as far as the mat goes, it's like he did that. Then we were doing Jaeger bombs with him in the back. So
yeah. And my man can definitely do some Jaeger bombs.
Oh no, sorry. I think it was car bombs, not Jaeger bombs.
Whatever.
Oh yeah.
There's a difference.
It was all about drunkety drunk time.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I liked it. I'm not a fan of the fake brick spots. Like, man, you hit somebody in the head with a brick, it's never going to explode into powder. I didn't like it when they did it with the cinder block.
I like them better than the non-fake brick spots.
Let's not talk about bricks.
Let's
not talk about bricks.
Let's just wish Cuervo our best. Okay. God damn, he's out a year now.
Honestly, a year is probably the best case scenario right now.
Yeah,
at least he plans on coming back.
Maybe not the best idea.
Plans.
I'll tell you what, though. I also don't know that they should have called this a death match, especially after the Hell of War match last year. I think that the name of this match was more ambitious. The match was exactly what it should have been, but it should have just been another play on grave consequences. Calling it a death match, I think, was unnecessarily deceptive because nobody gave a fuck about it being a death match anyway, and it wasn't anything close to what you would normally call a death match.
Yeah, I was a little off by that too, because I've seen I've seen Mill do stuff that you could call a death match, and I was excited to see Mac do some crazy garbage spots, and there were, it was more like a hardcore match.
Yeah, it was more like your run-of-the-mill ECW kind of match as opposed to a death match. So I think Lucha Underground did themselves a disservice by touting it that way. Gauntlet of the Gods match, awesome. Loved the whole throwing the glove all the way up there. Loved Johnny having an actual reason to do his parkour shit across.
Sacrifice to the Gods match that just happened to have the Gauntlet of the Gods.
I call it the Gauntlet of the Gods match because it was a sacrifice to the gods, but it also had the gauntlet.
You could see how much fun that Johnny was having in that match.
Yeah. Also, can we talk about the difference in the ending that was taped and the difference in the ending that was shown?
Byron and I were talking about this the other day, and we were like, wait, didn't Mundo punch through Matanza on the Aztec seal, and then Matanza disappeared, and we thought that was how Matanza was going to die, and then in fact they just go to commercial. That was what happened live, folks. Live, Johnny actually sacrificed Matanza, and I see why they switched it now. Maybe they didn't know that they were going to be able to get Angela Fong back to wrap up the storyline that way, or I don't know. Clearly something changed, or maybe they just wanted to do it both ways, or maybe they thought that was a good way to end it for the crowd so they knew what was going on.
I mean, I could see that, especially with the fact that everyone in the live crowd saw how they kind of did the sacrifice.
Right. So, I mean, it's standard old school I Dream of Jeannie / Bewitched. I mean, it's just a break, and they roll out of the ring in the dark, and they turn the lights back on, and everyone's like, ah.
So I think they were like, okay, well, his character's done, but we're showing you guys this, but we're going to show everyone else this other way. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there were a lot of vignettes being filmed that week after Ultima Lucha. They were still heavily filming. So maybe it did change, or maybe they just felt like that wasn't a strong enough ending, or it didn't work. I mean, clearly the way they wrapped it up was way better.
Maybe the shot just didn't match up right, so they had to do something else.
Or, I mean, it could also be a possibility, and maybe we can ask them this later, but maybe at that point when they scripted the match and everything, they didn't have Angela Fong in yet for that ending. And then they're like, oh, we got her. Let's film that ending, and then we got it. Which I kind of love. Maybe they found some money in the budget to get her back for that one little shot, but I like that they did that.
Yeah, because that actually brought closure to her storyline too. So that hurt to someone not coming back probably.
It does give DJ a little bit more credibility with this whole "we don't plan things that we're not going to wrap up" thing that he said ever so many years ago now. Because that's one of the few where they actually wrapped it up the right way. It's not Rey Mysterio still rotting down in the basement of the old temple, never to be heard from again.
Not wherever the fuck Nightclaw is.
Whatever.
Where's the fucking pirate? Huh, DJ? Where's the fucking pirate?
Where's the pirate?
Just a dark match. We never saw anything beyond dark matches.
Never saw anything beyond.
It's true.
It was never a promise meant to be kept. I don't think, Casey.
And now you can't do it because Kyrie's fucking doing it.
She is a pirate princess.
She stole it.
So let's talk Cerro Miedo match. My question is this, and I don't know the answer to this question. Did Marty go hard way at the beginning of the match from the very first chair thrown at him, or was that a blade job in the corner later?
Apparently, it was a blade job that was on camera so bad.
Yeah, you could see him do it. Yeah.
I never caught it.
They definitely did. I remember specifically watching it happen in the ring, but it wasn't shown on TV the same way. Like when he did do the job. Because I remember at some point too, early in the match, all three of us, well, four if you count Ron, we all noticed how much he was bleeding profusely. And then when he sold a punch or whatever, his like hair whipped back and it blew blood on my shoes.
Oh, it was bad. I mean,
they were fighting. They were fighting at the railing, like by us.
Too. Yeah, but you barely saw that on on the episode. So
They cut it out.
They cut out a lot. So I think they cut out the spot, especially where he bladed himself. So I think it was originally supposed to be a chair shot, but they changed it somehow in post.
They said, I think Stryker on the broadcast says that it was from getting thrown into the ring post.
Okay, yeah.
But after the very first chair shot outside, you already see him bleeding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, he's bleeding before he hits that ring post.
It was Pentagon who bladed him.
Yeah.
And that it was so obvious when they actually did it that it was like you can't show it.
Oh, Pentagon gave him a new jack.
Oh,
I don't think that was the case, was it?
Yeah.
No, honestly, it's been so long ago.
That's what, someone was suggesting it that I can't remember what it was. I can't remember if it was Omar.
I'll have to just ask Martin and see what he says.
Yeah, does anyone on the chat remember? For those of you who were there, because it was so long ago.
I hope if you ask him, he says kayfabe, motherfucker.
I'm asking him right now. I'm going to text him right now and see if he replies.
We got to find out.
I hope he responds kayfabe, motherfucker.
Just get him on the show.
Man, you don't know how hard that was last time, Byron.
I think Justin and I were on standby for the better part of like an hour trying to get him on.
I was there for an hour, if you remember.
Yeah, that's right. Meef
isn't even on the actual episode, but yet he was there the whole time that I was talking to Marty, trying to get him to do the episode.
Yes,
I was talking him through some technical things with his computer that would appease his lady friend so that he would have enough time to do the show for 20 minutes.
I think me and Meef were on for an hour, and then Meef had to sign off, and I think 20 to 30 minutes later, he finally came on.
Yeah. And I was on the phone with him that whole time. It was funny. It was good stuff, though. We'll see if he answers. That match, holy shit. So the other thing is a lot of people thought that the blade job or whatever, the head wound was the bad thing. When he went through the plate glass, there were more. And the hand thing that happened to him that opened up over here.
You don't really, the episode doesn't really translate it well for what really happened that day.
I mean, and the thing is, though, look, you're going to do a match like that. You're going to do dumb stuff. I'm never going to say, hey, Martin, you should go out there and do this dumb stuff. Because it is dumb. It was crazy, but super entertaining. And he never lost a step at all. You see a lot of these garbage, extreme hardcore matches where a guy does a bad blade job or, the blood starts flowing and things slow down a lot. The match live never slowed down. Television never slowed down. I mean, the work rate was there. They hit all their spots. It was still performed exactly right. Go ahead, Meef.
Basically, it was almost like he had a little wire just spewing blood out of his head to run down his face, like because his work rate was still so high. I saw one. I don't know if Phantasma was selling it.
That's what happens when you take a couple aspirin first. That's actually. Do you guys want the trade secret?
Spasm?
Yeah, go ahead, Case.
Yeah,
the trade secrets. You take a couple aspirin first. Thins your blood out. You bleed more, but you're not fucking yourself up. And because it thins the blood in your forehead. And
it also helps a little bit with the pain.
Because that blood was Eddie level when he did that real bad blood job, wasn't it? I'm not being funny. That the amount of blood that was coming out of Marty was.
I would put it was getting there. I'd say Marty was a full Muda on the Muda scale, but Eddie was about a 1.5 Muda, so that's like way worse.
Where's the Phoenix one where it was just gushing out of
his nose?
That one was pretty bad. The nose one was worse.
Well, the Phoenix one was crazy, though, because it would, pool up in the mask, and then as soon as he would lift the mask up or whatever, it would, dump out. It was like, geysers. Good Lord, why?
It's a cool effect. It's a really cool effect.
If you like effects like that. I mean, look, I'm into some sick stuff, but damn, dude. Anyway, I liked the Cerro Miedo match, the Marty Pentagon part of it. The Vampiro coming in. Part. I mean, here's my thing. I didn't need the Vampiro part. I'm even okay with Australian Suicide as Hexagon, even though whatever Hexagon Dark or whatever his name's going to be.
Hexagon Black.
Talk about how shit that spot was, though. Can we talk about how shit that whole
What
thing
the leap off the top was fine, but the rest of it, like
when it was no, it was so real. Like even on TV, I don't know how it came across me live, but like it just like what he's dragging him out the ring to take him over there to do this big dive spot. It would have made more sense if Pentagon was going there himself, and it was just he should have done a move in the ring or something.
Well, this is the thing. Like I thought the Vampiro part was the part that ruined it. I think that you have Hexagon do the run in and beat him down. Forget the whole Vampiro giving him the belt swerve, blah, blah, blah. It's the same as the end of every season. Like, we don't need that part anymore. Now, if you have Hexagon, run in and mess with him, and then Vampiro stand up and help him for the dive spot or whatever, that would have been fine.
Or just look like he's going to confront him at the end and hug him or something. Like, that would have been fine.
Or like that Vamp's going to come and run over and try to break it up and save him or whatever. And then, I don't know. Like, I think if Hexagon runs out and you think that he's there with Chelsea to help Marty, that would have been cool first. And then he shoos them off and then he fucks up Pentagon. The whole thing is different. Or you think that this guy Hexagon is running in to make the save for Pentagon? That would have been dope. Like the Vampiro part was just bad.
Looks like a small child.
Well,
having looks like a small child.
Vampiro, who's already bigger and more over, and and tougher than the whole roster because he's a legend, and you have this little kid come out and it's like it already starts off bad.
Well, to be fair, it's weird because I knew that Ozzy was there that day because I saw him backstage. I don't know if you guys noticed him or not, but I probably watched more of his matches. But so I recognized him backstage and I knew he was there. And then there was that other weird guy who had been around the European dude. And I think he was talking to that guy. Was he giving great blowjobs in the back? Yeah, without even getting his knees dirty.
Because that's the only reason you get that. That's the only reason you get that piercing. So I'm saying it now. I finally got my chance to say it. Snakebite fucking emo girls got in about 2005, so they could suck good dick.
There we go. Meev's been waiting to say it. We've been talking about this in the DM for what seems like months, and now Meev's got to reveal it. And see, if you didn't do it, I was going to. So I'm glad you did it. Actually, I probably would have forgot.
I'll be honest.
We had the drummer.
He stayed in the mid card and stuck around AAA a lot longer than most.
Yeah, remember how his whole career
Remember
his whole career was just Pentagon beating the shit out of him week after week, and now, now he gets to be Pentagon's master, and the show's canceled. I guess he got the last laugh.
Maybe.
If the show doesn't come back, the last image is him beating Pentagon. This show needs to fucking come back.
Also,
yeah, but would Pentagon come back?
Wait, did Casey just say the show needs to come back?
I can't have that be the last we see of Pentagon on this show.
Wow.
Yeah, but Pentagon is going to be working for All Elite Wrestling. He's going to be their champ.
I'm fine with that.
Do you think they can?
The thing is with Australian Suicide as well. He looked like Shredder. An injection.
Is this our GIF?
Maybe some juice to.
I think he's trying to play our GIF, but I don't know if that works.
I just like this picture of you guys. I'm not playing the whole GIF.
Okay.
I just like Byron looking like some just came out of his nose.
No, actually, that's the face he makes. That's the face he makes when we enter him, Justin.
Oh!
Is that Australian Suicide behind him? No, it's a woman.
Wow, I thought it would be the other way around.
Wow, you guys are harsh. Anyway,
Byron likes being pegged since climb.
All right, so the finish, Jake comes out, breaks Pentagon's arms, takes the belt, then he takes the gauntlet, then he gets in the limo. Everybody's clear on what happens at the end of this show, right?
Yeah.
We don't need to discuss it any further.
Yeah, they just completely tanked it is what happened. Yeah.
Okay, so question of the day.
Black man came across the sea. Sorry.
Question of the day. Will Lucha Underground be back for season 5?
No.
Yes.
We got a yes from Byron. We got a meh from Casey, who doesn't want to see it in this way. What about you, Jim? What do you think?
I mean, I could see it go, either way. I mean, I feel like we're just going to have to wait to see what EV Dub tells us, and then we'll just go from there. I will not be surprised if it gets canceled based on this last season, but I will not get surprised if it gets picked up because it's despite how the season was, people still want to watch it. May not be as much as it used to, but
see, the thing is, like, I thought there was a great drop off in quality, but them going out on this season is going out like a bitch. They deserve better than that.
I think though, season 5 will be a lock, and you can watch it Thursday nights at like 3 a.m. or whenever Impact airs.
Here's what I will say. People have heard me proclaim in the past that Lucha Underground will be back. You know, I was never worried about it for season 4 at all, not even for a second, and a lot of people were. I will say at this point in time that I am about 95% sure that Lucha Underground will never be coming back. I think it is absolutely a no at this point. And I think so many things would have to change for that to be different. Based on what Evie Dub said on the last episode of this show,
which is the least optimistic I've ever heard that man.
I think there's a reason for that. I think there's a little bit of gamesmanship in that too, and I want to address that as well. I think that he is telling the truth when he says they don't want to do what they did this past season. He doesn't want to let the fans down again. He doesn't want to let himself down. It was not the way that they wanted to do the show. It just simply wasn't. And everyone who blames them for it is wrong to do so in the fact that their hands were a little tied. They were thinking on their feet. They had full confidence in themselves that they had pulled off 3 other seasons before and that they could really make this work, that their core idea was still there and still intact. They were wrong. I don't think that it was. And the more I go back and look at it now, I enjoyed every moment of being there. I love the season. I love what they did with it to a certain extent. But at the same time, I cannot in good conscience say that this season lived up to any of the previous 3 seasons or to what Lucha Underground, even on a lower level, should be. It just didn't. There were certain factors that kept it from doing that. And I do understand that many of those variables were not fully in their control. And if it comes back tomorrow, I will love to be wrong about this. I will still sit through as many tapings as I can possibly get to. I'll still support all the writers. I'll still support all the talent. I'll still support the entire production. But I'm not going to lie and say that this season was this shit because it was shit for their standards, for the level that they set, for the promises that they made about the kind of TV show that they wanted to present to us and how they wanted us to feel about it. At the end of the day, when it comes to the end of season 4, I do not feel as good about Lucha Underground as I did at the end of season 3, 2, or 1. I just don't. And I can't say that I do because that would be a lie. I was not glad that it was over.
I was glad the season ended. I'll be honest with you.
You just want a fresh start?
Halfway through the series.
See, it didn't become difficult to me. I still think that most of it was better than a lot of the other crap wrestling that I watch out there. And a lot of other shows have gotten better. Like, look, Impact is a more than watchable show now and is very entertaining. But at the same time, there's something about it where it doesn't compel me to need to come back the next episode. Lucha Underground has never failed to make me want to come back and see what happens next. Impact has failed me on that every 3rd show. As good as it's getting, and as much as I like the talent, I don't care about the storylines enough yet. This season I found
myself kind of. There's another thing about Impact is that Impact is doing a lot better, and this may not be relevant to the conversation, but it really makes me upset, and I want to complain about it. Their production quality drops off so fast. You know, like first of all, their tapings in Queens, that was a lot of fun. But it was a shit ring, and the camera setups, their guys filming ringside were shit, and the camera wasn't even like wide enough. You know, their hard cam wasn't like it wasn't shot that well. But when they went to like the backstage vignettes, it was worse than someone filming with a cell phone. It was like blown out. It goes in and out of focus. The person's just standing in one spot. There's no reason for it to go out of focus. It was.
It's because they had fucking autofocus on the cameras. Is why it kept going out.
They did. They did. That was a problem backstage for a couple interviews too. Paul Kross brings up an interesting point, and I want to talk about some of these things too. Paul Kross says the only way that Lucha gets to season 5 is if MGM wants to have Lucha Underground as a complete series for syndication purposes. And he is correct in the fact that 5 is now and has always been one of the magic numbers for syndicating a TV show properly.
But
however, because of the amounts of episodes that Lucha Underground did in those earlier seasons, they are already past that threshold with season 4, which is actually, even though Paul makes a good point, one of the reasons why I believe that Lucha Underground may not come back, because they have already crossed that threshold episode number wise.
But how are you going to... Wrestling's not evergreen, like syndicated product, I don't feel. Yeah, I don't think
that's another one of the problems, though, because how do you put a show that is a scripted show with an arc storyline into syndication that's a wrestling show, which typically doesn't get that type of syndication? People think of it more as a disposable weekly product. It's been one of the problems that they've had the entire time. The other thing I will say why I do not think it's going to come back. So I do believe that EV-Dub was posturing a little bit. He doesn't want to make the same show again. He does want more money. But I know, and this is coming from him and other people who were involved when they were doing the new negotiation, that if you recall back to the previous times that EV-Dub has been on the show, he said that for future shows, for future seasons, the green light is already in place to just roll into the next seasons.
Yeah, he did say that.
Yes, but that means to roll into those seasons at this price, this contract.
God, yeah.
El Rey does not have to renegotiate. They have set a price. Everyone agreed to the fact that, yes, we're going to keep Lucha Underground going. We're going to keep it going. We're going to do it like this. We can do it for this amount of money. And then if we like that and the numbers are good, we can keep doing that. And EV-Dub's problem is the fact that MGM already agreed to that. So what you're asking in a season 5 now is for the producers and writers and talent and everybody who didn't like making this show this way with 20 episodes at this budget, including Skip, at this price and this manner, now wants more money to do the show, but they've already agreed to do it this way. So now you have to go back and renegotiate for a higher contract. There's no way in hell El Rey ever does that. So that means that your only choice then, if they won't give more, and I don't believe that they will, and I don't believe that they should. So understand this. Basically, Lucha Underground absolutely already has a green light for season 5. Lucha Underground, as soon as they get that fresh budget for 2019, El Rey is going to call up MGM and be like, okay, let's go with some more of that. And MGM is going to say, we don't want to do it that way. And Dorian is going to probably agree, like, I don't really want to do it that way either. Doesn't do much for me. Everyone's going to say, we want more. And El Rey is going to be like, well, tough shit. You guys already agreed to doing it this way for this amount of money. We sold our ads. It got us the same numbers that we were looking for at the price that we were looking to get them. We're good. So either you guys give us the show at this price and this way, or don't give it to us. So then MGM is going to say, well, hey, what if we bring somebody else in on our side that helps us up the budget a little bit on our side? You let us run a few more episodes. You guys can sell some more ads, maybe give us a little bit here and there just for the extra episodes we're providing. That's basically the play right now that they're trying to make. This means bringing somebody else in to put money into the company. Now, don't take this the wrong way. I say this and people think, oh, because Lucha Underground is broke. No, they're not broke. It has nothing to do with brokenness. This is how you finance television. It has nothing to do with Lucha Underground being broke or MGM being broke or El Rey being a shitty network being broke. There's nothing to do with that.
The promotion can't be broke because it's not a wrestling promotion. It's a fucking TV show.
Correct. MGM gets paid to make a product. They want to get more money to make a better product. So they just simply need more money. El Rey is not going to pay that money because they make plenty of money doing it the way that they're doing it right now. They have no reason to increase the budget. They are fine with it. El Rey is the only place that likes season 4 of Lucha Underground because they got it at the price they wanted and sold the ads for the amount that they wanted. They could give 2 fucks if it's a good show or not. That's irrelevant when it comes down to the numbers and the people at Univision who pay the El Rey guys money. You know, there's guys up at the top that don't care. And I could tell you some stories about what the guys at Univision want to do for this show. And it's fucking horrifying. That's your real bad guy. For everyone who thinks it's Dorian Roldan or MGM or El Rey, you're wrong. It's Univision. They're the bad guys.
Yeah, anyway. I think I smell what you're cooking there, Justin.
Yeah, it's not even Tibbetts or this. People are like, oh, maybe this new programming guy at El Rey can do. Fuck no, we can't. Skip Chasen has Robert Rodriguez's ear on everything. Believe you me, Skip has gone to Robert and said, hey, man, I like doing this show, and if we could have a little more money to do this and this, that'd be great. And Robert Rodriguez was most likely like, fuck yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's go ask those guys. And Univision was like, fuck you, no, go away. And Robert was like, okay, cool, just let me keep my fucking vanity network.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not rocket science here, guys. He's big and powerful, but it's still a vanity network for Robert Rodriguez, and he can only take it so far without their deep pockets. He's not made out of money.
Man, did you guys see that they got Barbara Streisand for the director's chair? That's fucking crazy. They did legit. I'm like, whoa.
Hey, he's got friends.
I thought you meant for the next season of Lucha Underground then.
Yeah, she's directing. Anyway, so the moral of the story is the only way it comes back is you got to bring in a Modelo or a Cricket or somebody else for a much bigger sum. Basically, the way it works is, and I don't know what their actual number is, but let's just throw out a random number. Let's say in season 1, they were getting, I don't know, $400,000 an episode or $500,000 an episode. Doesn't matter what the number is. Clearly now in season 4, they're getting way less than that, like $300,000 an episode, or it's probably hundreds of thousands of dollars less an episode. So what you're asking is for some other company to come in for 20 to 30 episodes and bring probably at least another $100,000 per episode or more, which is probably going to amount to over $1 million at least that somebody would have to invest in the TV show. What are they going to get out of that? And is it worth it? Is there any company out there that needs an advertisement for 1 hour a week on El Rey Network to the tune of $1 million?
The MMMshow.
That is the question you have to ask yourself. And if you can answer that question, you can answer whether or not there will be a Lucha Underground season 5. I cannot for the life of me think of a company that it benefits enough that can do that and can supplement the show in that fashion. So my answer has to be that no, there will not be a season 5 of Lucha Underground.
And your numbers are low because if it's 20 or 30 episodes, that's like $2 to $3 million.
I gotta imagine the budget got cut at least $100,000 an episode. That's very typical in reality TV, especially because, like, look, most of the shows I do typically get, I'd say, $250 to $350 per episode budget, and typically by the time you get to a 3rd, 4th, or 5th season, they expect you to trim it down to about 200, maybe 225. Per episode. That's very standard. By then, your show should be up and running. Everything should be plugged in. You shouldn't need to build sets. You shouldn't need to do anything crazy. You should be able to smooth sailing, make a couple phone calls, get another couple of episodes done. So you should be able to do them cheaper. People at this point should be actually lining their pockets and making more money because the show's supposed to get easier to produce over time, not harder. So it is very well within El Rey's right and to ask for the show to be more streamlined at this point. And if it's a big hit, like The Walking Dead, for instance, the budget goes up and you say, let's make more episodes. Let's make them higher quality. Let's keep people interested because we're selling ads at a higher rate. El Rey Network is not selling ads at a higher rate all of a sudden for Lucha Underground. They're not making more money off of it. It's not something that they have to stabilize their programming blocks. It's not the NFL where you can afford for it to be a loss leader because it brings eyeballs to your overall network. It's not that. So there's just no reason for a budget increase other than the fact of pride and prestige to make a better show. And damn it, that's just not how TV works. You only get to make a better show when you get much better numbers, typically when they double.
Yeah, wow. And it's funny you mentioned Cricket, since they basically abandoned Lucha Underground for a very expensive WWE deal. It's on quite a bit. So clearly someone very high up in that company's a wrestling fan, but they've jumped to WWE.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, look, I'm not saying, I said 95% sure. There's a 5% chance out there that there's some company 5%. Or some money mark. Yeah, maybe Billy Corrigan wants to put in $1 million. It could happen. It's not unfathomable that somebody would want to come and bring money.
Lucha Underground.
But then what's he going to want for it? Because Dorian's not going to give whoever this person is IP. He's not going to give up IP rights. He didn't even give MGM IP rights. He gave them usage rights.
Right.
Dorian's not selling any of the IP. He's already got investors. He's already paying his guys back. And now they're just to the point of getting in the green, and they want to make more money. They don't want to give up a piece of that. So what is anybody going to buy? The only thing they can buy is mats and surfaces and buy what Modelo already bought this season. How much did that amount to? Maybe $5,000 an episode, $10,000 an episode. Wasn't $100,000 an episode. I can tell you that.
Yeah. There's no way.
Plus, they had to do a built-in ad buy with El Rey Network to even make that whole thing fly. So I'm sure Modelo spent a lot of money for that, and it was probably worth it for them. I think their positioning was helped by it, but there's no reason for them to spend any more. And can anybody think of a company bigger than a beer distributor that would put money into Lucha Underground that's more than what they put in? Who would do that?
That's why when they start making weed commercials legal, that's who's going to do it. Because they're going to be like, you know what? These roster, they're our guys, so we're going to sponsor the shit out of this show.
And then they'll bring back Jack Evans.
Yeah,
no, they're gonna go to Impact. They just the Rascals or whoever, they're gonna take that sponsorship.
Oh God,
I have no idea why that's happening.
I also, by the way,
What
I
the
don't
fuck
think
was that?
MGM's out of the Lucha Libre business. Evie Dub teased it a little bit. I could see them maybe going in with the Harris brothers, maybe going in with somebody else and still doing another Lucha Libre style program. And maybe they, cut bait from this one and try again.
I think they've talked about Ara Lucha actually ended up on the same network as Impact. That was literally last week. There was talk of them to actually replacing him.
Replacing Impact. Ugh.
Well, because Impact is looking to move up in the network.
Impact should. I mean, Impact needs to be the next WCW. They've got their work cut out for them. And Ring of Honor poses a serious problem for them right now. But they've got to figure that out. I mean, they can't. I don't think that Impact can stay where it is right now and stay viable. It has to get bigger, or wrestling fans are going to turn on it.
I don't know though. That's one of the things that we keep saying about Impact, and they've been around like 20 years now.
Right, but it keeps tapering off, and they keep losing their top level investors and their money marks at the top because of the fact that it's only sustainable like this for any investor. I don't care if it's Anthem or Billy Corrigan or Viacom or whoever. They're only viable to an investor for a year and a half at a time before they have to get out. If they keep staying at the level they're at now, it's not going to work still. They have to get bigger. Just one step bigger. One little step bigger. They have to find a way to do that, and getting off a pop is probably the first step.
Yeah, a channel that most people don't even know what it is, like what the fuck.
Well, and a channel that doesn't respect them either. What is the 10 p.m. time slot? I mean, come on. That's a slap in the face. That tells you right there where they are in that food chain. They got to get out of there.
Oh, guys,
I mean, this is a station that used to be the TV Guide network, for Christ's sake. They can do better than that.
Speaking of having to get out of here, I need to get out of here. So
Ditto.
Be cool. Stay in the mix. Penis. I'll talk to you guys later.
And
later, brother.
I will have to depart as well. I know this is going to be our last show for a little while.
It might be.
It might be.
It could be forever. Who knows?
Who knows? I'm sure we have other bullshit we could talk about. But
the premiere.
Yeah,
well, after Meath pulls his stunt, we're going to be banned from all internet.
That's true. So I may or may not see people if I actually end up attending bar wrestling this coming Wednesday. We'll see.
I'm going to try to go if I can.
Yeah, it's got Kross and friggin' D'Lo Brown. I got to go. I got to try to go anyway. It's a busy week, though. Also, I guess we should probably mention LA Lucha, Friday, December 14, with your Master of Ceremonies, Famous B, and such Lucha Underground performers as Marty the Moth and Ray Horace. I'm going to try to go to that too. I got friends in town for the Eagles game that weekend, so it's going to be a lot of juggling, so we'll see. But maybe if I'm there, I'll see you guys there.
Hopefully, I'm going to try to get to both of those as well. So hopefully, I will see you there because we haven't seen each other in person for ages now.
I think the last time was the Contender taping.
Yeah, that's probably it.
That was probably it.
That finale, by the way, was great.
Yeah,
I actually knew other people who went to that, and I had plans that night, and someone I knew who met up with us that night was at the Contender taping first before they met up with us. So
yeah, it was actually a pretty early evening, surprisingly. If I had known that it was going to be that early, I would have planned differently. But
yeah, same here. But it's been a pleasure, guys. Everyone buy some Johnny Gargano merchandise. I'm gonna shill for him since he did so much for me. Also, like I mentioned in previous episodes, go out and buy the comic book history of professional wrestling by Aubrey Sitterson and Chris Marino, because it's a great book. And also donate to the Kickstarter for Headlocked comic book series, written by Michael Kingston. It's really good. He's been doing the comic books convention circuit. Yeah, so that's all I got, and yeah, I will see you guys later.
Thanks, Jim.
Later, Jim.
We had Jim even longer than I thought, but thank you for swinging through. Appreciate it, brother. Last thing I want to talk about real quick is I got to talk about that Chuck Liddell Tito Ortiz thing, just because it was a good. The Golden Boy actually put on a good show though. Like I watched the whole card. I know J-Man was watching some of it. I think J-Man said he ended up watching most of it. It was really good. They had some good fights on the undercard. Tom Lawler fought this mini Daniel Cormier dude that beat the shit out of him. That was a good fight.
Lawler broke his hand in that fight.
Yeah, and I think he said something right after the match too. But it was still a good fight. And then Gleason Tebow versus Efrain Escudero was also a good fight. And then the headliner was not a good fight at all, but was certainly something to see of these guys just square dancing for 10, 15 minutes, not really knowing what to make of each other. Chuck Liddell looked very out of place, like almost not on his feet, and almost looked lightheaded when he got in the ring. I don't know if the weight cut was an issue for him getting to 205 or which I thought was funny. I didn't even think they were going to actually try to do this at weight. I thought they were going to do just an open weight. But they both cut down. They both made weight, easily made weight. And
do you think Chuck it was appropriate for him to be fighting?
I'm
watching it right now.
Yeah.
He already looked punch drunk before.
He did. And maybe there was something going on, and nothing has come out yet. They're still talking status quo at this point in time. Maybe he just didn't fully take it seriously, but he says he trained hard, and I believe him. But I also, John Hackelman wasn't there, who was his longtime trainer when he was in the UFC and didn't particularly think that he should fight. A lot of the people that know Chuck didn't really think that he should fight, and maybe they know something that we don't know. But I thought that there was a fair chance. And Tito in the ring in those first few seconds, if there is something up with Chuck, Tito clearly did not know it. Tito was acting the same way he acted in the fights that he lost to Chuck. He was being very tentative, very tepid. He was trying to move forward, but he was really afraid of Chuck counterpunching him. He was clearly afraid that Chuck did have something. And man, the first time you saw Chuck actually connect with Tito's face and there was just nothing on it. I mean, I think Tito even said something about it in the post-fight press conference, like, he just knew, and that was the time. He just went in and started blowing him up, and then that was it. I mean, a couple of pats on Chuck's chin and his glass jaw, and Chuck was on the canvas, which is pretty much what I was expecting. I mean, I think I even said it in that other DM of like, yeah, I really would love to see Chuck win, but I'm pretty sure Tito's going to break his glass jaw, and that's pretty much exactly what happened.
Yeah.
But then afterward, the reason why I even make note of any of it is afterward, they both get on the mic. They do some mic time. They talk about their little thing. But then Tito, after they interviewed Chuck second, Tito got the mic back and asked Chuck to stick around for more fights and to be involved still. And even in the post-fight press conference a little bit later, Tito wasn't really saying that anymore, but it was like, are you fucking high? Are you kidding me? Like, yes, Tito, you did fine. Maybe you got a couple more left in the tank, even though I think Tito should probably, definitely not fight anybody younger than Chuck anytime soon. But at a certain point, man, like, do you see what you just did to that man? Let the man walk away with some dignity. Like, he gave you hugs and you guys are friendly now. You guys can, you know, talk about the rivalry forever. He got 2, you got the last one, whatever. You put your stamp on it. And he's talking about all this, you know, let's make Golden Boy the place where people can make money. It was an awesome production. They even had like the holograph things off the wire cam, just like WWE does. Like, the production was great. The fights were good. The matchmaking was good. The coachman on the stick wasn't that bad at all. And he had Frank Mir there, and it wasn't bad. It was not bad. It was very watchable. If they do pay-per-views where they can get some good names at a $30 price point, I could see them doing something. The problem is, dude, with ONE FC, Bellator, UFC, a couple of the Russian promotions, all these, there's so many people, all this talent is locked up. For Golden Boy to have a decent promotion where they could do more than 1 or 2 events a year, it would take them probably 5 years, or they got to start figuring out how to get guys out of contracts or something. But I'm just very curious, because they could legit be a new, fresh player in the MMA world. And guys who do come up for free agency between going to another solid promotion and staying somewhere could take a fight or 2 at Golden Boy, rebuild their name if they had fallen off, you know, coming out of UFC or Bellator or something, you know, and pick up some paydays. It could be a thing. I mean, that's my whole comment.
CM Punk's got a chance.
I'm saying that CM Punk
still has a chance. There's someone out there.
Nah.
CM Punk.
I'll fight him in a car park.
I mean, you'd probably win, Meef. You'd probably win.
CM Punk doesn't know how to. Like, could he win? Could he win a fight?
Yes,
and we saw
absolutely. And CM Punk, honestly, to take the question seriously, CM Punk should absolutely be at a place like Golden Boy if he wants to do MMA. The UFC has too much riding on the fact that they couldn't put him in there with a complete tomato can. You know, they had to put him in there with some half credible people. Golden Boy absolutely does not need to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they put him in there with somebody that they know is coming off an injury that is 15 pounds too light and stupid, and is the worst MMA fighter out there, and people will still watch CM Punk. You know, Michael Jackson was the closest that CM Punk was going to get to somebody on his level, and people will say that, oh, he had the same 0-1 MMA record that CM Punk did. Yeah, but Michael Jackson also had 30 professional kickboxing fights. He's a real pro fighter. You know, maybe MMA wasn't his thing, and he is still a little bit of a bitch, but at the same time, he was less of a bitch than CM Punk.
I mean, he couldn't wrestle, but his striking was way better than Punk's.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I was seeing Michael Jackson at kickboxing fights in Texas 7-8 years ago when I was doing Policeman in Dallas. I saw him fight twice. He was good. He was really entertaining. You know,
in context, Alistair Black could kill CM Punk.
Oh, for sure.
Kickboxer.
Yeah, Kevin Kross could destroy him. I mean, you know, these are guys with legit MMA and kickboxing and fighting skills. And CM Punk is a fighter in his heart and in his soul. And I believe the guy's a quality individual in a lot of ways. But you know, you got to put him in the right spot.
Isn't he a piece of shit? Isn't he a piece of shit human being?
I don't know. I mean, anybody who gets a Pepsi tat is probably a little bit of a piece of shit.
I mean, Colt Cabana's not a piece of shit. So.
Truth. Anyway, that's all I got. That was the last thing I wanted to talk about briefly. There's some other UFC stuff going on, but we talked about a lot of it anyway. And Impact. Oh, the one thing. Holy shit. The one thing I want to say about the Kross and Scarlet Bordeaux thing from down in Mexico, where you see Conan walking through the background, looking up at him like, whoa, what just happened there? Like, I didn't write that. The look that Scarlet gives Kevin at the end of their little segment. Wow. What was up with that? That was like a real thing. That was a look.
Of course. Why wouldn't she look at Kevin like that?
I mean, he does look like a really, really fit, muscular assassin version of Justin Timberlake. Like, he could kill you, but he's still a handsome fella.
Yeah, he's handsome. He's in the best shape of his life. He's well-spoken.
They did the Dirty Dancing lift, so you know, her female parts must have been exploding.
I just, for the life of me, like, I think it's okay for Scarlett, maybe it's a good move, but for Kevin, I don't understand the life of me of why they would do that to him. He doesn't need.
I don't understand why
that doesn't. What does that do for him?
Well, for down in Mexico, I mean, that's just to get her over and introduce her somehow and have her stand with somebody who's been there.
Like I said, though, she's got the #1 YouTube video from AAA of all time.
Yeah, but
that's like the Mexican dudes love her. You know, everybody loves her.
No, but it doesn't have to do with that. It doesn't have to do with that. If you look at all the wrestling videos on YouTube that the different promotions put up, the ones that have the most by far views are the ones where their screen grab that they use for the preview is some sort of sexually provocative still. Is
that what we're doing wrong on this show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'll tell you what that is. There's some truth to that too, because we have one that's that picture of Cobra Moon crawling across the ring. She's not even on that episode. And that one did bang up numbers for us. Maybe we've been missing the boat here, guys.
Watch what happens. Make Meatloaf's face the icon for this one, and see what.
So basically, what you're saying is we should call up Killer and see if he can get Scarlet Bordeaux to come on this show.
That's a good idea. She's a great talent. She's an up and comer, and I do think though I do think on Impact that her gimmick is good on that show because everything's trending towards different personalities and workers, kind of how Impact was when Gail Kim and Awesome Kong? Yeah, American Awesome Kong.
Yeah.
They were putting on great matches, but their women division was so deep that they could have the work rate and they could have the entertainment, and they had like the beautiful people doing their thing. And I thought that was great. You didn't have, you had a more well-rounded show with different types of acts. And I think now is a good time for,
let the pigeons fly.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
Do you remember that bit? Yeah. Justin remembers that bit. He's got the
Mike Tyson has the pigeons. I know. Anyways.
You were going somewhere with this, Byron. Where are you going?
Did you ever watch
really glad I distracted.
The early episodes of TNA where the beautiful people would walk into the ring and straddle the rope and rub the things on the ropes, and the cameraman would.
It seems to have struck a chord with you, Byron.
I heard someone, one of the beautiful.
The bathroom.
One of the beautiful people was like Twitter feuding with someone and got called out for doing that, and I thought that was hilarious because I do think for the points that I raised, there's a validity to the type of entertainment they were doing. But when someone says, "Yeah, you did that in TNA for like 8 years," it's kind of like, "Well, you're done."
Yeah.
Who's her partner? Who's Velvet Sky's partner? Is it Billy Bubba Ray?
Yeah,
bully Bubba, yeah. Whatever he goes by these days. Yeah, I do have that Velvet Sky action figure around here somewhere.
Great action figure.
Might be on the nightstand. I'm just saying, it might be on the nightstand. Bully Ray, get the tables.
Oh, you're standing on it.
Yeah. So it'd be great.
Are we still on the air? What happened? Whoa!
It'd be great if we got Scarlett. Something would be a great guest to have on the show.
There are a few people that I have potentially lined up for guests. This may or may not be the end forever of the MMMshow. I don't know that we'll any longer continue to be the premier podcast about Lucha Underground. I think if and when this show continues, I think we're going to do a little reformatting. I'd love all the guys to kind of come up with a segment that they want to do, similar to Jim's segment this evening, where everybody has something that they can contribute. And we're not just counting on Lucha Underground for our source material anymore. So you guys out there, let us know what you think we should do with MMMshow, if in fact this is the complete demise of Lucha Underground, since that has been at least 85% of what this show's been about in the past. And we'll figure out what we're going to do from there. We got Byron left. We got Meatloaf left.
Look at that. Look at that little thing.
We got Billy Fever left. Is that Billy?
Billy Fever. Ratings are going through the roof.
Always. That's how you pop a number. We'll just use that for our screen grab. Little pussy on the show.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah.
So
those cat videos on YouTube.
You guys have heard what I have
Maybe
to
we
say,
should
chat
review
room.
Cats.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's review Cats.
Everybody knows I think it's going away. I'm the naysayer this time, so we'll see if I'm proven wrong. But that's it. That's all I got. You guys got anything else?
I just think when you add the numbers up per episode, the thousands of dollars, it doesn't seem likely.
I know. I hate to be the one to bring the real math and like hurt people's feelings, because it's not just about the heart. I think all the people involved really want to do it and they want it to be good. But to do it good, it takes money, and you got to follow the money at the end of the day, man. You got to follow the money, and I'm following it.
I was going to make about it.
What's that?
No, the only solution, the only person I could think of would put money in was Dorian, and there's no reason for him to do it because it's not promoting his guys anymore. If you know what I mean, it's not
right. I mean, everything that he thought
it was kind of
everything that he thought to get out of it, he hasn't gotten. But he saved face. He made his investors back their money, so he still looks like a big man on campus. Yeah. He doesn't really have a reason to do much more, and I just hate to say it, but when I follow the money, I'm just following it right off a cliff. At this point, it's lemmings. There's nothing to it.
Meef looks like one of the lepers out of Ben-Hur.
That's amazing.
Look at his face.
That's amazing. All right, that's all I got. So if this is the very last time I ever say it, I hope it's not, but thank you, everyone who has stuck with us in all of these Lucha Underground reviews, all of the great guests we've had, all of the fun times that we've had, all of Casey's ridiculousness, all of Jim's penis, Meatloaf and his chocolate man slave in his fuck dungeon, J-Man and Urban for all the times they've come by, and Vinny Massaro and Kevin Kross, especially, those guys who have always been here, Eric Van Wagenen, who has always been more than generous to us.
We got a question. We got a great question.
What's the great question?
The Cubs fan he raises a question. So if it's done, when is everyone released to move on?
That is a good question, but this is one of those things where I have full faith in EVW. If he sees the writing on the wall that it's really done after he's done, don't get me wrong. I think he's going to go out there and do his due diligence. I think there's going to be some people really trying to make it come back at some point in time. I don't think that big push has happened yet. I expect it to come in February, where they're really going to sit down and really see if there's something that makes sense to make this show keep going. It hasn't happened yet, but I believe that after he does that for a considerable amount of time, he's going to start letting people go. And I think that if those guys find other opportunities out there that aren't WWE, I don't think that they're going to have any issues pursuing those opportunities. And after they make this final decision sometime in spring, I think that the official releases will be coming. It may not be up to him, though. El Rey may want them to hold on to those contracts and may want to be dicks about it. I mean, from what I understand, the Dust Till Dawn cast was left in limbo for a long, long time. They weren't held back from doing many other things, because the way that those TV contracts are written is it's written by taping conflicts. So if all of a sudden the show had been back up and running and they had taken other work, they would have just had to drop that work and prioritize the shooting of that show. These contracts don't really work that way, because for some dumb reason they're half TV contracts, half wrestling contracts. It's one of the few things they actually did kind of like a wrestling promotion. Who knew? But I think that had a lot to do with Dorian's influence as well. So I think, I would say that by April, you'll probably officially know if all of those talents are free and clear to go anywhere, including WWE. And I think that any of them trying to go anywhere other than WWE will not see any pushback from it at this point. So, I don't see it worth it. They have to retool the show so much at this point anyway. There's not a person left on the roster that they couldn't do the show without, including Pentagon. They could easily do the show without anybody at this point. So it's a sad reality, but that's it. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Thank you to everybody in the chat room. I hope this clears up some of the reasons of why I am pessimistic at this point. I mean, those of you who are out there, Cubs fan knows I have been a huge proponent of this show continuing to go on and on for a long, long time, and this is probably the first time people have heard me be any type of naysayer. But I think this might be the end of the line for Lucha Underground, guys. And hopefully we'll find something else to do with ourselves and keep entertaining you guys as well if people are interested in seeing it. So let us know what you guys think on our social media, MMMshow 75. And until next time, stay calm and stay in the mix.